Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night. Tonight, we give you the coverage of the Trinity Racing League, first their inaugural season. Tonight, it's race number 8. After coming off of last week of Nashville Super Speedway, we've got a lot to break down on the race that we missed covering. We are so sorry that we weren't able to give you that coverage last week as other emergencies popped up and we had to step away. We're excited to be back for this 8th race of the season. Crazy to say, we are coming very close to the end of the regular season. We've got tonight and then 2 more races after this to figure out who will be the 16 drivers racing for the championship. But this evening's race, it is going to be racing at Michigan International Raceway for the Team Watson Racing Setup 220 here this evening. It's going to be a long race, 110 laps in total on a 2-mile course where you can find yourself going 3, 4, 5, and sometimes 6 wide. How far will they take the limit? We'll have to find out and see here this evening. Well, once again, thank you for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me tonight is Zach Hall. And Zach came off of a wild Nashville race last week, a track that gave us 11 cautions in total, but it was one of the newcomers that we've been broadcasting here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Jackson Anderson, the 08, finally gets himself into victory lane, and he's been searching for it. He's shown the speed and finally got it done.
He has shown a ton of speed, and it's just been moments that took him out of contention, losing track position such in races, and last week took advantage of really a race that kind of turned upside down as it got farther and farther in. There was some incidents in the front of the field that really caused some mayhem, and that shook the race up a ton, in my opinion. And from there, it kind of became a gamble process, and it was definitely a wild one. And I think that could continue in here tonight because we're only getting that much closer before this regular season is all said and done. So I think the pressure just keeps ticking up each and every race.
Yeah, last week we got a lot of shocking poor finishes for drivers. Battling for the lead, there was a wreck between Thomas Green and Chris Ditz that took each other out that also collected Vincent Sora. So it made last week a very wide open race. And as they were coming to the end of the course, found drivers just kind of losing focus. Danny Cochran caught with a lane choice violation, as he was not able to choose high or low on one of the late restarts. He was given a penalty of an EOL and just had a meltdown in a way. He found himself going on the brakes, completely stopping in front of the field, collecting a few of drivers, and then leaving the session, ultimately leaving the league. And Danny Cochran, who entered tonight 7th in points, is officially out at this current time. Admins have noted that they're going to relook at his case after tonight's race, but for sure was not going to be running here tonight. So Zach, shocking to say, Danny Cochran, who looked very strong in our first 6 races of this season, one meltdown and now he's out. And this gives a wide open feeling for a lot of drivers as we're about to be entering into qualifying, but it really makes these playoffs in just 3 weeks wide open for them to be placed in.
It really does. I mean, it makes it personally, flip on top of its head because Danny at this point in this season was having one of the best seasons. So it has really opened up the door, and we'll have to see, of course, what happens with that whole case. But definitely not something we wanted to see last week because he was a top contender. But, I mean, if he is not in the factor heading through these next 2 races, it's going to be a big shakeup there. So even just missing a race tonight for him, if he does get back in, will be a shakeup. So it is quite the case here where it's opened up the door for possibility that someone maybe get themselves in that they maybe thought was a little bit more of a long shot.
And these final races, we'll take a deep look at the schedule, but with 3 races left, tonight's impact is so crucial. And one of the drivers that has a big feeling that he needs to go for a great run, Gavin Rogers, he entered the season late. We know he's got the speed to contend for a championship, but entering tonight, he's all the way down 34th in points. 33rd in points entering tonight. He needs a win, if not more than one win, if he's going to have a chance for the playoffs. But first, we have qualifying. Drivers have 5 minutes to put down their fastest lap and only 2 laps to do so. If you find yourself sliding too far, hitting the wall, going through the grass, that will invalidate your lap time. But Zach, qualifying, I would say if we look at the next gen, if we look at the trucks being up front, so critical here tonight. I'm curious if you're feeling the same way. That track position is a main focus for these drivers, and qualifying going to be heavily impacted.
It's going to be interesting because, like those trucks and those next gen cars, like you said, being out front is such a benefit because of the aero effects of those cars, the strength of them, where these cars do produce dirty air that really can make things tough when following somebody. But I feel like it also gives you the ability to move around the track a little bit more, and also have the tire differences that really make up those dirty air issues, where in other cars we don't see as much fall off. And I think tonight we might not see the most because Michigan surface here is still pretty new and pretty nice, where the tires don't get worn too much. But I think it will be a huge factor with how your car drives, because we've seen a lot in the practice session where drivers are sliding around, not really able to find the grip in the rear end so far. So being out front sometimes can make that condition worse, just with the clean air pushing the nose into the ground harder, lifting those rear tires up. So we'll see if that is the case. Maybe you want to be in dirty air, and in that draft that isn't as powerful as we see in the other cars either.
I think also what makes the loose condition even more frightful for the drivers is the fact that the track is cool. 73 degrees is going to be the Fahrenheit to start out for qualifying for these drivers. We'll see if it drops any, as your fastest driver currently going to be Vincent Sora in the 15, who leads the points entering tonight, 4 wins in total. And one of the heavy favorites coming into tonight's race, going to be Joshua Kanata, lap 2. What will he find after lap 1? He's going to be second on the board. And drivers are searching for all types of speed here as Cedric Hunter goes with the slower approach. He's going to be 6th fastest, 2/10 off of the pole time currently by Vincent Sora. Ryan Bird, though, finding some wicked pace on his first lap as he takes the pole position. And here we go. Let's watch the ticker board change up as drivers, some finishing up their first lap, others finishing their second, and it's Vincent Sora on his second lap, a 38.360 for the pole time. It won't stand. Lap 1 for Ryan Kelly. Going to be 4, almost a little bit less than 5/100ths of a second faster than Vincent Sora's second time. What a lap by the 30 machine.
Yeah, we have not seen anybody come even close on their first lap so far with that. The fastest we've seen so far, other lap that was on the first lap, was Jackson Anderson at a 38.6. So he was 3/10 quicker than anybody on his first lap, and it's put him on top so far as Anderson, last week's winner. His second lap comes through and finds the pickup to put him second on the board ahead of Vincent Sora.
Going to be 6/1000ths of a second behind Ryan Kelly, who's just finishing his second lap. Not going to be any faster than his first, and that is a bizarre look. I mean, drivers are searching for all types of speed with the older vehicles and not in the current patch. The first lap was notoriously known for being your build-up lap, not really your go lap, but Kelly says opposite. I'm going to give it my best chance, and it succeeds for now. Nolan Hicks trying to recover after being involved with the Danny Cochran incident last week. He qualifies 4th currently. There's still a lot of drivers out there waiting to put their times down. Gavin Rogers going to be one of the favorites, though, to watch out for. What speed does this 75 have for himself? First lap going to be 14th fastest on the board, a 38.643. He's got a lot of time to pick up, 0.3 of a second behind Ryan Kelly currently. Other drivers that we wait to see what times they'll have. Ethan Delaire is going to be attempting to at least get a lap in, I believe, for the 22, but it looks like he ran out of time. He'll move to pit road, joining Cody Smith, Justin Smith, Travis Downing, and Ethan Delaire on not putting a time in. Gavin Rogers, a few others. Who can steal the top time? 14th, 15th on the board on that first lap. Is there any pickup? It's a slight one, and it's good enough for 4th, but not good enough for the full time. Rogers enters the top 5. Larry Yingling going to be in 5th position as he finishes his lap. Other drivers, we wait and see. Isaac Shelley in the 98. He's currently 10th on the board. He will not get a second lap in. And Zach, it is Ryan Kelly out of nowhere. That first lap attempt was good enough for the pole time.
That is amazing, because again, nobody even came close on their first lap. So he had something figured out, Sam, that no one else was able to do. Of course, went slower on the second lap just because he probably used the tires. So it was amazing to see. And Ryan Kelly is, I think, a interesting one to see here, maybe late in the going in this regular season, catch fire.
Ryan Kelly, that would be his first pole of the season. Congratulations to the 30 machine, who will grab your Blazing Fast TV pole award. here this evening. Go ahead on over to Blazing Fast TV on YouTube and Twitch to see the point of view of Dakota Moniz, who's out there on track racing almost every day throughout the week or is playing other video games. So remember to go check out Blazing Fast TV today. We've got ourselves a 5-minute warm-up period for the field, as this also will give us time to take a closer look of how the season's been. Let's first take a look at the point standings. The point standings will still have Danny Cochran in. He's currently 7th on the board. And Zach, talking to admins, they're going to allow his points to stay as they are. So drivers still need to beat him on points. So you've got to fight for these next 3 races if you're farther back to try to steal that 16th position. But it puts going to be Justin Smith, who's currently 7th on the board in points, as well as Nolan Hicks, Michael Miller. They've got a great chance to try to surge into that top 16 with the knowledge of the 202 being out.
That's for sure. You know, we talked about Thomas Green's bad start to the season for him, and we're trying to see him come through and maybe put together a good into the regular season for him to try to put himself in position, because there's a lot of heavy hitters. I mean, Fonseca's had a terrible season back there in 23rd, just caught up in a lot of stuff. And, you know, Ethan Smith down here in 26. It's not out of the realm for them to make up 30 points back down here. So it is still within possibility, but it's all closing down here soon.
It certainly is closing in very quickly. The one driver that's been dominating, Vincent Soares, still top of the board by over 34 points, even with the mistakes and errors that he was caught up with last week. But let's take a look at how the schedule is for us here this evening. Now, the first 2 weeks of the season was Speed Week. We had the Clash to start the season off. Then we had our heats, our duels for race number 2 of the season. Race 3 is when the official main point racing began. And then we've had of ourselves here tonight just 3 races in total left in the regular season before we get to the chase, where it will be a 5-race duel to see whoever has the most points will take your first season of the Trinity Racing League Championship. But we've got Michigan, Dover, that changed. Originally was Martinsville, now going to be Dover, and then finishing off the regular season at Chicagoland. Zach, these 3 races, there is a lot on the line, but honestly, these are very raceable tracks that we have in front of us.
Yeah, these tracks set up very well if you are a driver that feels confident on, because I feel like they're tracks, like you said, they're very raceable. You know, there's ability to pass. So if you do have mistakes in the races that put you back, you can kind of climb your way forward and, you know, finish good and still get those points, because, again, it's all about the finishing order. It doesn't matter where you are to start these races, where you're at in the middle. You know, no stages here at Trinity. It is all about those finishes. So if you can get passes done, you're going to want to do it there.
As we move away from the point standings, the schedule, we've got our pick'ems. Who are drivers that we feel like are those that could win, or storyline drivers that I feel like are those to watch out for? And I'm going to go with the driver that, if you look at the stats of average running position, I'm going to go with the 3 of Thomas Green. He's currently 5th on the leaderboard, a best average finishing position of a 6.7 throughout a race. The one problem, his average finishing position is 21st. He needs to do a better run here tonight. He's outside looking in. It all has to start here tonight. A poor finish at Michigan could almost be an absolute season ender for Thomas Green in fighting for a championship. So that's going to be my pick of a driver to watch out for. Who do you have, Zach, as your driver for tonight's race?
Well, I had to go with Gavin Rogers. Kind of similar route there for him, Sam. He has just not had the starts, you know, starting a little bit late in the season. He is right now 33rd points coming here tonight. He's going to have to get something going really strong here in these next 3 races to try to have any shot at making that chase. So Rogers, you know, still adapting to his car. I think tonight could be his opportunity to finally, you know, take claim of a win here at Trinity.
And our third member of our crew, that's Robert Moyer Jr. He's going to be going with Ryan Kelly. We made these picks before qualifying in the middle of practice, and Robert picking the best one out there. Kelly having some sneaky speed here tonight, as he will find himself with being the driver on the pole here tonight. Well, great pick by Robert. Zach, I got to say, Robert's been on a roll recently with some of his picks.
He really has been, Sam. I tell you, this guy, hey, he knows his stuff. He has been up here watching it just as much as we've been calling it. So he is up here every Wednesday and Monday. So he gets to see a good bit, I feel like.
He certainly does. As we have finished up or coming to a conclusion of our warm-up, practice is over, qualifying's over as well. All that's left is 110 laps to be completed here tonight at Michigan. We want to say thank you again to some of the amazing sponsors that help out week in and week out of the Trinity Racing League. We've got our title sponsor of Larry Arts Production. Larry Arts Production is a great YouTube channel to go see some great comedy as well as some great reviews. Head on over to YouTube and look up Larry Arts Production, as he's got some great most recent videos for you to watch. We also want to say thank you to Blazing Fast TV again for giving us the Pull Award as we take a look at our Orchid Ink Tattoo Studios starting grid. Head on over to Orchid Ink Tattoo Studios on Instagram for your one-stop shop for custom full-colored tattoos, stickers, paints, and more. Thank you so much to Orchid Ink Tattoo Studios for being our grid sponsor. Taking once again your Blazing Fast TV Pull Award, it's the 30 machine of Ryan Kelly. To his outside, trying to carry the momentum from last week. Last week's winner from Nashville Super Speedway, Jackson Anderson, starts second. Vincent Sora waiting to rebound after last week's poor finish. He'll start in third, with Gavin Rogers starting in fourth position. Fifth, we find the 67 of Larry Yingling, with Nolan Hicks, who's also looking for his own recovery run. Had a fantastic run for about 90% of last week's race until his unfortunate end. That 86 machine hoping to have his finish here of the regular season, place himself in the playoffs. Justin Campbell going to be starting in 7th for himself. Chris Stitz 8th. 9th is Ryan Bird. In finishing out our top 10, it's the 98 of Isaac Shelley.
Starting at 11th, it's the 01 of Aaron Krolick. Alongside him in 12th, it's going to be the 88 of Cody Reed. Jared Tallman's going to start back here in 13th. Alongside him, 14th will be the 8-car Noah Steele. Thomas Creed, Sam's pick here tonight, will start back in 15th. In 16th, we're going to have the 13-car of Cedric Hunter, with the 24 of Fonseca starting in the 17th position. 18th is going to Joshua Kanata. 19th is going to be Dakota Moniz, and rounding out the top 20 is Stephen Clapp.
Then at 21st is the 85 of Samuel S. Garcia. Christopher Norris in the 83 will start in 22nd position. Ethan Smith, who needs to have his start of a run moving forward, he'll start in 23rd position. Michael Miller in the 99 qualifies in 24th. 25th is Gary Wells in the 87. Mark Lavertone, who's had some great finishes of here late in survival mode. How well can he survive here tonight? We'll find out, starting in 26th position. Austin Halsey starts in 27th, with Ben Kinney in the 51 starting in 28th position. Mark Morales starts in 29th, and to finish out our top 30, it's the 10 of Ryan Ferraro.
In 31st, it's the 94 Maurice Gomi, and in 32nd, it'll be the 33 of Malik Kuntz. Ethan Delaire going to start back in 33rd. 34th is going to be the 6-car of Justin Smith. The 35th going to Cody Smith, and the 36-car rounding out our field is going to be the 43-car of Travis Downing.
Some drivers will be sent to the line as well. A few will have a drive-through penalty to serve. One of the drivers sent to the end of the line going to be Travis Downing, Michael Miller, Austin Halsey, as well as Malik Kuntz. All will be given end-of-the-line penalties. Justin Smith given an end-of-the-line penalty on top of a drive-through. So the 6 machine going to have a longer night than most. We'll see how well he can try to recover and move forward, but for all the drivers that are up front, tonight's race, 110 laps in distance, no fast repair, 4 extra sets of tires in pit road. The fuel window we were given was around 37 to 40 laps on fuel with no stage breaks. This is going to be a race where drivers have to pick and choose. Can we find ourselves being clean and race green all the way through and have some green flag racing? Or are we going to have the chaos from last week? It's time to see what the Trinity Racing League has for us. Tonight's race is the Team Watson Racing Setup 220. Thank you so much for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night. The Trinity Racing League, presented by Larry Arts Production. Race number 8 is underway. Kelly, Anderson, they take off and go. All together going to be on the outside, but the better launch given to the 30 machine with a good bump from Vincent Sora and Zach, the driver's roar. And here we go for another race on Monday night.
What a great start from the bottom lane. There's Vincent Sora going to try his best to clear last week's winner, Jackson Anderson. But Anderson on the outside carries that momentum right to the door of that 15 down the back straightaway.
going to be utilizing the draft, bump drafting with one another, and Anderson trying to utilize the leader ahead in any way possible. The rest of the field all searching to get down low to that yellow line, then rise up to the wall off the exit of the corner. The searching for where the maximum grip is going to be the fun thing to watch all throughout tonight. But Ryan Kelly leads that lap. And Zach, I mean, this is kind of bizarre to see. We usually see Ryan Kelly racing on Wednesday nights in the 3 machine, and he doesn't qualify up front all the time. When he does, staying in the lead position is really at shorter tracks. This is a 2-mile course, and it's kind of weird to see the 30 machine leading here early on.
Yeah, very interesting to see him with the speed, but I tell you what, sometimes the driver can just put it together, and that's what it seems like tonight, as Kelly is able to control the lead right now as the 2 behind him having quite the battle, switching lanes on each other, trying to find the way and the fastest way around this racetrack. As right now, Anderson, with that draft of Kelly dropping down, is able to sit pretty well side by side with that 15. But when they race into that corner, you're going to see the Kelly drop down in front of the 08 down here in the corner of the 15. But much cleaner air up top.
Hot Lap Designs, fastest lap goes to Ryan Kelly in the 30 machine. Head on over to Hot Lap Designs, offering you quality visuals for your graphic design needs, iRacing paint schemes, logo designs, and so much more. Head over to hotlapdesigns.com today, as that is a bonus point that can be grabbed if you have the fastest lap of the day. Who can continue on? We're expecting that maybe to be changed up later in this race, but early on it's Kelly. But we look in the middle of the field. This is where the chaos is, and caution flag waves. Trouble for the 2 machinist Stephen Clapp, who slides through the grass and hard impact into the inside pit wall.
And that is a huge moment, because Clapp coming in here has had an excellent season so far of getting great finishes. He does not want to see these last 3 races something bad play out where it really takes him out of contention. So we'll have to see here on the replay exactly what plays out, but I think it's going to be some contact on that front straightaway. I'm pretty sure it's going to be from Mark Labertone. They're racing back here for around 23rd.
They're side by side racing between one another, and the part of the front stretch, it's a curved front stretch. So for some drivers, they might keep their wheels straight. Others are turning with the curve. Right there, making contact is the 44 and the 2, and then the lock it down. Hope you don't hit the wall, but there's the collision made for the 2 machine into that inside pit wall.
And you're going to want to get any bit of damage fixed that you can here if you're Stephen Clapp, because this is such an aerodynamic track where you really want to have as much straightaway speed as possible. So Michigan can be a place where damage plays a huge factor. As we're going to get a little bit of a closer look here. As yeah, you just see kind of the lines coming together. That's unfortunate. I don't even think Labertone really did anything wrong there.
No, just both drivers trying their best to stay in line close to the draft as possible, and contact is made. As part of the field, going to have to make the decision. Do you want to pit? Do you want to stay out? We're expecting at least 1 pit stop to be made by the 2 machine. We'll see if Labertone wants to come in and check out his damage. But early on, Ryan Kelly in complete control. Look at some of our early movers. Labertone actually was one of the bigger movers, up 5 positions where he runs currently. Ethan Delaire, who did not put down a qualifying time, he's already up 8 spots with some of the drivers set to the end of the line. But early on, drivers already bobbing and weaving, and up front, going to be having a decision to head into pit road. It's Justin Campbell who takes the early pit stop.
Very interesting. We'll see what he does here with this pit stop, Sam. I mean, I wouldn't put tires on, but I mean, he could take some fuel here and maybe make something interesting out of, just being able to stretch a little farther.
I'm keeping an eye on his pit stop, seeing if it's just fuel only. Not expecting tires, it's just fuel for the 66 machine. Other drivers that were getting service done are going to be seeing Maurice Gilmillion, looking at some of his topping off on fuel, checking on damage. Same for Austin Halsey and Stephen Clapp, still in pit road for the 2 machine. Everyone else staying out on track, but yeah, that's a bizarre one. I mean, Justin Campbell inside of the top 10, only driver that was inside of our top 20 that decided to come into pit road. Not something you expected to see from the 66, just to give up track position, but we'll see how well he can climb through the field and how much knowledge he'll gain from it. But with the way we've seen track position be, the track conditions as well, I'm shocked you want to risk being all the way back in 33rd position for the 66. If we can pull up the weather, I mean, Zach, this is a race where Michigan has the chance of being a very hot track, but this is on the very cool side that drivers are dealing with.
That it is. It's air temp of 70 degrees, but the real big thing is that track temp is only 7 degrees hotter at 77. So it is very much a very cool track, and you can also see the wind's not too bad, about 3 mile an hour, really sticking right about there, 2.5 mile an hour at all times, and it is it's very much going to be grippy, that's for sure. I think track position will be more valuable because of that. So it is interesting to see some of those strategies. You see people coming to the choose here.
As you can see, that middle seam is where everyone is trying to avoid. You do have to have all of your tires on either the left or the right side of this middle seam. And also, our producer told us in our ear, and you might have noticed, in sim time, we are in the morning condition. So this track will heat up. It is currently in sim 10 a.m. in the morning. And Zach, that is also a thing that we never really see, is morning races. That is, I think that makes so much more sense now on why this race seems so bizarre looking at the weather. It could be up in the mid 80s by the time this race is over, or even hotter than that by the time this race is done, with the fact that it is so early in the morning that these drivers are racing it.
That very well could play a huge factor. I mean, the day's definitely going to increase in temperature, and that could change the track a ton, especially with the rubber they lay down. So we'll get to see how that all plays out, and we'll have to pay attention to that. As only 7 laps in right now, we get to about that lap 80 to 90 marker. I wonder what it's going to be around.
Up front, going to be seeing Ryan Kelly, Jackson Anderson, Vincent Sora, Larry Yingling, Chris Stitz, Gavin Rogers going to be your top 6, getting ready to take off and go. Look at the drivers that are inside of our top 10. Noah Steele up already 5 positions. How many more spots can he grab? We'll find out here as we start lap number 8 for the Team Watson Racing setup 220 here at Michigan. Great launch on the outside. Going to be picking and choosing. Do you want to go high, low? And it looks for Kelly. He'll continue to stay high as Larry Yingling. Where will this 67 want to place himself to try to assist his teammate up front as Anderson and Sora duel it out? And Anderson with a great run off the exit of turn 2.
Wow, what a run from the 08 there down the back straightaway. He was side by side with the 15 in the corner, and next thing you know, he's side by side for the lead as you see someone darting out there in the background as Anderson up front is going to take, I think, control of the lead. So maybe that win and some confidence, Sam, that 08 is feeling himself this week.
Anderson with a big dive bomb move to the inside, able to clear. A little slight loss of momentum, and Ryan Kelly going to try to side draft just slightly to get an advantage heading down into turn number 1. Teammate of Ryan Kelly going to be that red 67 of Larry Yingling diving to the inside, trying to battle for second and get to third place. The battle for first, still hard charging, slight bump by Kelly. As Kelly stays in line, Sora keeps third, and everyone just searching for where they can carry the most momentum forward and go for these dive bomb moves. So there's Yingling trying to make that 67 quick on the inside, and it's working for now as Anderson has to block that momentum by Yingling.
That it is. That was a big decisive block there, and I mean it was nice because it wasn't too aggressive to where Yingling was going at such a rate, but Yingling doesn't matter. He comes from a car back, drives it to the inside. He's trying to make it control that clean air, just a little bit loose there on that bottom side, but 67 looking like he's come to fight here tonight maybe, and we'll see though, does this racing action, how is it going to hurt the tires? You see Vincent Sora back to the inside of Ryan Kelly, so a lot of action right now as the 67 just finds the way to the right rear quarter panel of the 08.
And keeps his foot in the throttle. They'll stay side-by-side drag racing moving forward. Other drivers behind him. That's the 27 of Jared Talmadge, who dives down to the inside white line. But it's still the battle for the lead, side-by-side. Anderson stays high, trying to keep Yingling higher than he would like to be. But Yingling fights strong on the outer groove. They throttle back up onto the back stretch, and they somehow still stay side-by-side. But the nose advantage goes to Yingling. This is some great A racing we're getting to see here, as Anderson, recognizing this top lead position is so critical, he doesn't want to lose it. But with how hard they're racing for this lead spot, you just have a sense Yingling, going to be Vincent Sora, Stitz, and so many others behind them are starting to mount the charge. search to catch up to our top two.
And our pole set, Ryan Kelly, he's still back to 7th. So he has kind of got caught all into this wild battle as we've had stints. Isaac Shelley drive their way into the mix. So even Rogers has dropped back a few spots. He's back to 6th. So this is starting to shake up a lot here. We'll see who hurts the tires the most. As you can see, the leaders up front switch lanes and get on each other. Now the 67 to the bottom side of the 08 as the 15 looks all the way low.
It's kind of interesting to see the change up from how these drivers are able to attack on the outside. I feel like in the past, looking at the current vehicles of the next gen and the trucks, the driver on the outside usually has a massive advantage at this point. They've already would have cleared Anderson at this point, but with the aggressive just dive bomb moves and the amount of speed that they're carrying through the corner, this is impressive to see that the inside driver still has a fighting chance for just a few laps as Yingling finally almost fully clear over Anderson.
That inside line definitely looks strong. I tell you, it's whoever's been down there has been able to kind of fight back and make the move to clear to the outside at some point. Is now Yingling maybe going to find enough just juice off the exit of 4, but just again can't. If that 08 is now, he actually will fall in line. So the 67 just enough time to breathe, but we'll see, does the 08 use a little draft here and duck back out to the inside.
And drivers need to start making their moves now. Starting to see throughout the field, drivers are starting to get a little snappy loose throughout the middle of the field. And that's a sign that everyone's going to be starting to get very loose here in the next 2 to 3 laps as Vincent Sora trying to figure out where he wants to go. But Gavin Rogers, Shelley, they'll be finding themselves battling for that top 5 spot. And also, you know, you've seen Jared Talmadge, which Talmadge was looking at the average running positions of the field. He is the one with the best average running position of a 5.1 running position throughout a race. He's also got one of the best finishing positions looking at the field. So this 27 trying to carry on his momentum that he's had for these first 7 races of the season as Anderson once again fights to the inside. Yingling trying his best to keep his foot in the throttle off the exit of the corner, but Sora just waiting for someone to make a mistake so the 15 can pounce on it.
The 15 probably loves seeing this right in front of them. This is, if you're a third place driver, you love seeing side-by-side action in front of you. You're just waiting for the opportunity, just kind of just using the whole racetrack. You see him, he goes all the way to the bottom, all the way to back up to the wall in the exit, where these two have to really pinch off their entries and their exits there to make it work because they're racing side by side. So Sora able to use that whole track while these two limited in what they can. We'll see if that really comes back to bite these two up front, but right now they're putting on quite the show.
Vincent Sora, notoriously known for being a driver that wants to run the inside, stay basically to that white-yellow line as much as possible through the corners. And here tonight, he's searching just a little bit, but still, he likes to stay low, trying to protect those tires as much as possible. As Yingling, though, on the outside, got to be careful, both with a slight wiggle and a push up by the 15, as well by the 67. They'll stay side by side for second place. But the battle continues on. They're almost the stack 3 wide for the lead. Anderson is clear for now and just gets ahead of the 15.
Well, a little touch there on entries. The 15 dives to the inside. He says, I want my chance now to fight for the lead. Will the 67 find the speed? But no, we're going to have a yellow here, and I don't know exactly where that came out.
Trouble in the back for the 51 of Ben Keeney. And it's almost identical to what brought out our first caution of the day.
Yeah, that is, I don't know if I've seen it, Sam. That's about spot on. Yeah, the car on the outside just kind of drifted down into that inside car again here. So we'll see Ben Kinney on the outside here. Then they got the 66 Justin T. Campbell there on that bottom side, who did make that pit stop. He was finding a few spots up his way, but it really was these two coming together right there. As you see, Kinney kind of comes out a little bit of net code even, but that contact was going to be rain regardless.
Yeah, both were, one was moving down, one was moving up, and ultimately contact was made. Luckily for Ben Kinney, no one else involved with the incident. And Ben notified, saying that he accidentally put the wrong number on. And so that 68 was supposed to be the 51, as we've got 2 68s out there, but Ben Kinney got to be going for a little bit of a spin here, bringing out our second caution of the day, just on lap 18. And like I said, Zach, I mean, drivers were starting to get a sense that a caution might have been looming with the feeling of the tires starting to fade away. Also with the fact of how drivers were starting to race in bigger packs. Anderson A little irritated on the fact of the timing of the caution because he thought he was going to be clear right when that caution flag came out was when Sora poked his nose ahead. Vincent Sora going to be your control vehicle for this restart, but we'll see this hard decision, who pits, who doesn't, and it looks like a sign. Majority thinking about pit road. Will anyone fake it? No, it's pit road for the majority of the field.
Yeah, I think most are going to be willing to take that opportunity right now to come down. So, yeah, we'll see who does stay out. It looks like there is a few takers out there. I think one of the first ones I saw was the 24 of Ali Fonseca is one of the ones to stay out, and that'll be an interesting call to see. I mean, right there with the lap times we were running, Sam, there wasn't like a crazy amount of fall off, really. There was a couple tenths here and there, but I think we'll see here that those tires should cool back down, but it's just going to be how well can they last on this restart.
I think the main reason why we're not seeing too much of a fall off is the race out of pit road. Looks to be Anderson with the better takeoff and go for himself. As a few drivers in the middle of the field decided to take 2 tires for themselves. I think the big reason why everyone is trying to just keep the car underneath them, they're not pushing the speed. I think we could be seeing maybe if they feel more comfortable later on, but it looks like it's a lot more of let's try to be as fast as we can, but not going over the limit that this vehicle can handle currently.
That definitely does. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting factor. See how it plays out the rest of the night with these drivers in the tires. So, I mean, definitely got to manage them because it looks very loose out there. So we'll get to see our first tire difference, so to say, here with our top 3 staying out, and that's going to be Ali Fonseca. You can see there on the screen with Ethan Smith right behind him, and the 44 Mark Labertone also. So going to have 19 laps on these tires when we go back to green.
The top 3 not taking tires like Zach said. Everyone else in the field taking 4 tires and fuel except for 1. Christopher Norris, who runs in 10th position, that 38, deciding to take 2 tires. We'll see how well that helps him out. As here we go, it's the choose high, low. Where do you want to go? Ali Fonseca going to go low. Anderson goes high. And here's the fun part of drivers switching high, low. They feel the most comfortable as, that driver might get caught with having an issue. That was Cody Reed, who was in the middle, making a little bit of a delayed push. We'll see if that's going to get penalized later, as we're still waiting on Nick Crawford to get off of work and come back to be race control. So Cody might get away for that one. We'll see if that gets penalized next week, though.
Definitely a close one there for sure. I'd say right in the middle of that lane, and it's when it's a middle, like when it's a lane, I'd say of kind of gap that you have to miss. It's definitely interesting. So it makes it tougher when there's no real defined spot on some of these racetracks. So these drivers are just kind of trying to do their best, but I think Cody got a little caught off guard there and maybe just couldn't get that car back over. And sometimes these stock cars are hard to turn on these straightaways to get them to go one way or another and change direction. So again, this season at some point, I think we'll see somebody at some point maybe wreck trying to change directions there because these things can fall on their faces very quickly.
Oh, absolutely. I think turning right is that one that really catches drivers off guard because these vehicles are not really meant to turn right. They're meant to turn left on an oval. And so sometimes it can catch drivers a little bit off if you crank it too far to the right too quick. But up front, we'll see how the top 3 can handle their speed. Where will they go if drivers try to swarm them? Let's find out. Top 3 did not pit. How bad are the old tires compared to new? They're about 19 lap difference. Here we go. Green flag is back in the air for the Trinity Racing League presented by Larry Art Productions for the Team Watson Racing setup 220. Fonseca, Smith, decent launch for themselves. It's going to be Labertone who's trying to survive on the inside. Smith's trying, but here we go. They're already split 4 wide off the exit. Labertone gets tapped. 44 goes for a slide. We stay green for now, though.
Vincent Sora was right in the mix of that. I think the 44 snapped looser. Their lines just kind of came together on the exit, and next thing you know, they're hitting each other, dooring each other, and the 44 sits sideways, but great save by Mark Labertone.
Labertone continuing to fall backwards. Now it's going to be the Double Zero as well as the 67. We're already going to be seeing drivers battling for the lead position. Yingling, Jackson, they're right back to the mix, and it's Ali Fonseca just fighting for his life on the inside. I mean, in the middle, he'll fall backwards as Vincent Sora dives to the inside groove of the 24, and And those older tires compared to the new didn't last very long. I think that's a good showing of if you're going to pit for tires, they are so important. And the advantage will go to Fonseca. Smith also going to be the 44 of Labertone if we get a caution later on in this green flag stint, because they'll have that extra set of tires to work with. But up front, it's Larry Yingling now in control, leading this race. But the chaos isn't over as Fonseca and Smith still are falling backwards.
It just shows you again, this is old school iRacing right here. You just have such older tires that you are just hanging on while everybody feels like a superhero pretty much around you. You're just like, how can they do that? But you just don't have the rubber to grip the boards, the contact.
Fonseca, hard contact sent to the outside wall. He continues to race on. Doesn't want to grab any more damage than he needs to, as Gavin Rogers now going to dive to the inside. Going to see Nolan Hicks in the middle, and Fonseca just letting everyone drive on by. Ethan Smith now down to 17th. Fonseca in 14th position. Up front, everyone snaking their way back and forth as the middle of the field. Just a cluster and a gaggle, all searching for where they can feel the most comfortable to get by these slower vehicles.
This is very interesting to watch play out. Is right now we see Larry Yingling. He is just going full out. He is just trying to drive qualifying laps or something out here, Sam, because he's opened a 6/10 of a second gap that we haven't seen all night happen. And Vincent Sora maybe saying, I don't want to let that 67 get too far out there. So he's going to try to make the pass on the 08. But look, these two are going to race. This is just going to open up the door for the 67 to get farther away, maybe.
Big slide by the 15 of Vincent Sora. Anderson, great job reacting, giving just enough space to work with so that 15 can collect himself, but break back to the battle. Anderson to the inside. Now also going to be seen the likes of Isaac Shelley getting into the mix, the 98. He is good at these bigger tracks when there's chances of strategy and opportunities to just go full bore. Also, Jared Talmadge getting in the mix. That 27 of Not Surprised to be inside of the top 5 already, but you can see drivers that are just inside of the top 10. They are still scrapping for every position. And Christopher Norris in the 38, he is on a huge slide with going to be seeing Nolan Hicks right in front of him, sliding back and forth. Gavin Rogers going back and forth as well. That 38's in a troublesome spot because he decided to take 2 tires just right sides, and everyone else took 4. The gamble is putting him in a spot where Gavin Rogers wants to get by, but just can't find the opening until now.
I'd imagine that 38 is loose right there, putting the right side tires on
contact.
Almost the contact there, and it was contact like you said, but almost a wreck between those two there. Great job keeping it together, but I think this 38, he's going to have a hard time keeping this car straight. Look at how much the left rear is yawed out compared to the left front. Is so much of a distance between those tires.
And now going to be seeing Michael Miller in the 99, Ryan Bird as well, both trying to figure out how to get by Christopher Norris. And when you have a driver this loose, you want to get by as quickly as possible, but also you kind of have to give space. If you are racing this aggressively side by side, there's that chance that that driver that looks to be out of control could clip you and spin you around, as Bird finally able to get clear, take it away. Norris gets the better run as he finally looks stable for the first time in about 3 laps for Norris there off of 2.
Yeah, I think it'll get better the longer he goes as those tires start to equal out on the left sides. But you can see right here, this battle has been amidst the 08, the 15, the 27 now getting in the mix. This is really shaking up, and Yingling again about 7/10 ahead of these guys. He's really, I think, enjoying watching this behind him.
As you're seeing from the back view of Anderson, Vincent Sora able to do a slide job to get by the 08 and finally up in the 2nd position. As Sora just continues to try to find to close in this gap that is not shrunk. And for Larry Yingling, I mean, Zach, he built up this gap, and he built it so quickly that now he's just minimizing the distance, allowing the guys that are battling for 2nd back to 5th. They're just using up all their stuff going back and forth. This is excellent games being played from Yingling, just watching his competition just fight against themselves.
It's always interesting to see how the old veteran, as I would say, Larry Yingling, he's been around this sim forever. That's guy I think started back in 2012, so or I think even before that in 08. So he's been around since really the beginning. This guy is a fossil when it comes to sim racing, and he knows his racecraft. So it'll be interesting to see if he can put it all together and not burn his stuff up by getting that gap. It is starting to close down, but maybe that's some of his method to his madness.
These drivers are starting to tighten up off the exit of the corner. Eric Kralik and Cedric Hunter making slight contact on the exit of turn 2 the lap prior. as they get almost made contact again off the exit of turn 4. And this is the unique part of Michigan and Auto Club, the sister track. So the 2-mile big courses, the exit of the corners, surprisingly, feels like one of the most narrow parts of any track you go to. Everyone is just trying to maximize their speed out to that exit of the wall. And Zach, it's so shocking when you can see it throughout the corner, the straightaways. Everyone's going 3, 4, sometimes 5 wide, and then you get to the exit of the corner, 2 wide's dangerous for some drivers.
Especially off of 2. 4, you can see sometimes you can make it happen because it's a D-shaped oval, so it has a little bit more of a wider arc coming out of 2, where it's a straight, straightaway down the back straightaway with 2, where it makes that very abrupt on that exit. So a lot of times you see those 3 wide actions, like you said, going in, but you're going to usually have only about 2 wide coming off because 3 wide usually doesn't work too well off of 2.
We get right back into the mix here. We are now about 10 laps of green flag racing in, and this is around the zone that we start to see tires in the middle of the field fade away quickly if they were pushing too aggressively. There's a couple of pods that are looking dangerous as we move up to the battle for 7th place. Thomas Green, Chris Stitz, Cody Reed, and Nolan Hicks going 3 wide for a quick moment as Hicks has the good run to try to take a 2-for-1 on the straightaway. Great job by the 86 machine as he pushes his way forward. Stitz a slight blink in front of Reed and Rogers. They've got to give each other a little bit of space to get by that 17, if even possible. As other big packs that are starting to loom. Watching out for drivers that are battling outside of the top 20 as they're starting to get a little bit mixy between each other. I know Christopher Norris, those 2-tire call, he's still dealing with some slight looseness. Gary Wells is trying to carry his way forward in 21st, but it's the pot of drivers from 22nd back to 26th that I'm keeping my eye on. You've got Ali Fonseca still on, no, he hasn't gotten any fresh tires, still on the same set that he has. There's a couple of others that I'm curious if they can keep it together for now. But we got to move back up to the front because Larry Yingling just lost the lead in a blink of an eye as he is now beating and banging with Vincent Sora. Zach, what in the world just happened to Yingling? He went from a half a second lead to now in trouble of falling to 3rd.
Yeah, it was a wild moment there. He kind of got caught off guard, I think, by the 08, and it kind of shot the 15 into 67 almost together. So it's definitely shook things up. Now we'll see the 67's tires. Maybe it might be used up. He went out there and really put some crazy lap times down. I'm really worried about that right rear for him.
And a little bit of testing here. We're still in the first half of this race. Still a lot of racing left here tonight. And so maybe a little bit of testing, maybe expecting a caution to be thrown as Vincent Sora now in lead position. Jackson Anderson in 2nd. Larry Yingling trying to survive in 3rd with Jared Talmadge 4th, 5th. Isaac Shelley. And they are trying to find a way to push forward 2 wide. It's currently the call for some of these drivers if they're going for a pass, but it's fun to see the different lanes that they attempt throughout the corner. On the straightaway, Anderson trying to get a little bit of help as he snaps down the inside. Talmadge and Yingling just getting clear as the 27 gets in front of Yingling, but the choosing of lines, how you want to get around the corner. I mean, Zach, it really seems like early on you want to maximize your speed. Some drivers are moving on the high side, some stay low throughout the run. But it's interesting to see the gradual move up from one seam to the next as a run progresses forward.
It really is. It's always changing, and that is the one thing I like about Michigan more than anything is this place really does give you the opportunity to kind of run all over the place. Against the wall doesn't work necessarily the greatest, but I had seen it work in cars before. So it's a track that gives you options, and it's definitely, I think, a really fun race to watch here, especially a track where the draft is, with the 650 car is not as predominant. I mean, these guys are still staying together, but a lot of the other cars we see, that is almost a super speedway style race compared to this, where it's very much a little bit more strung out, one by one, getting passes done.
Anderson still leading the way, looking at drivers that need a strong run. Isaac Shelley, driver we've seen in other leagues. He sometimes is a superstar when it comes to qualifying. When it comes to the long run, though, we've seen strength at road courses. These bigger tracks sometimes can blossom for a good run. But Shelley here tonight needs to have a fantastic finish to start his push with the playoffs right around the corner. As up front, Anderson attempted once again for the lead, but had to back out of it. looking at the field at this current time, I mean, it's still shocking. We're, now going to be 16 laps into this run. Our top 20 all still within about 6 seconds of one another. The thing that makes that most impressive is every driver is attached in some way still with the draft as Anderson pokes the nose to the inside of Vincent Sora off the exit of the corner.
This lead has just been ever-changing hands. Every single lap, these guys go back and forth, side drafting really aggressively with each other. And, it's been fun to watch, but at some point, if someone makes a little bit of a mistake, we can see almost what we see in Nashville just a week ago, where drivers racing up front, just a slight mistake, and next thing you know, multiple front contenders are taken out. So, got to be careful when you're racing this hard, but it's putting on quite the show right now for us.
And it kind of makes things a little bit easier for the top two, at least, both of them with a win, pretty solidified on where they are in points of making the playoffs, so they can race as aggressively as they want, going back and forth. And even for Jared Talmadge, who has a win as well. I mean, our top three all have a chance to really just beat and bang, do everything they want, knowing that we still are expecting a pit stop in the next 20 laps or so. You can get as aggressive as you want between one another, and I think what we're seeing here, I mean, the seesaw in Zach, this is just natural skill. For some people, seesawing their way through a corner feels impossible, but these drivers just proving that if you've got a finesse feel of how the vehicle is reacting, you can maximize the speed even with the looking like a lumberjack going back and forth on the saw.
And that's what we love to see right there. See just quick hands. That's what I like to call it. Big moment for Talmadge there as we got the ride on board and watch that. Tyson back and forth so much up front, throwing blocks, getting very aggressive here early in this race. This is it's getting a little bit spicy. And the thing about that, Sam, is you watch the onboards, you got to really be on top of things. And that's why you see really that wheel never just stay in one spot. It is always left, right, some way, some type of movement going on as you're trying to stay on top of the grip level.
All the searching for speed, and you see the rest of the field all in line. Starting to single file out as we're in that transitional phase of drivers trying to assess. We are 20 laps into this green flag run. Who saved their tires, who is not, and for Chris Stitz, you got to make sure you don't get in the wall as backing off, losing speed. The 17 just not really in a comfortable position off the exit of turn 4, trying to get back some of that pace that he once had early on when he was inside of our top 5 at one moment during this stint.
Yeah, it's interesting to see him struggling a little bit farther back this time. We'll see if he can come back through as he gets a really good run there to clear Cedric Hunter. We'll see if he looks to the inside of Cody Reed with this run, but again, a yellow flag here.
And it's going to be the 33 of Malik Coates going for a slide, and it's a self spin that started off on the entry of turn 1 and never ended until he came to a complete stop off the exit of turn 2.
Oh man, yeah, this was a big mistake here by this 33. They just stepped out on him, like you said, pretty much from corner entry all the way to the exit where he finally had spun out. So we'll watch him here. He's kind of farther back off this group here and trying to latch onto them possibly, but just going to lose the rear end here pretty early, and it's tough. When you lose the rear end on entry in the middle of the corner, it is so tough to gather it back up, and he could just never do it and just kind of went to a four-wheel drift all the way around.
Just trying to keep the wheels straight as the vehicle went around into a stop and able to take off and a go. And a caution comes out on lap 42. This would have been around the zone. The drivers would have completed their first green flag pit stop. So now this kind of puts everyone on the same spot of coming into pit road to get service done. Now drivers were getting 4 sets of tires to work with here this evening. Most of the field has already used 1 set of tires. Might expect to use their second before we've gotten to the halfway point of this race. I mean, Zach, 20 laps into that run, I'm kind of assuming that most drivers are coming into pit road to get pit stops done for themselves.
Yeah, I assume they'll come back down again. And I mean, if you're, like Fonseca or those other drivers who stayed out there at the very beginning, you are very happy to see this caution to get your first set of tires on. And now you have an advantage if we do have some more yellows to take advantage of that extra set. So we can see that disadvantage they were put out here early be a very big advantage here if some of these yellow flags continue to be a trend about 20 to 30 laps into a run.
Well, we want to say thank you to everyone that's joining with us here this evening as the race off of pit road continues on. We will take our first commercial break of the evening. It's been a pleasure to give you all the calls for these first 43 laps here tonight for the Team Watson Racing Setup 220 here at Michigan for race number 8. You're watching the Trinity Racing League presented by Larry R Productions on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We'll be back right after this with more racing action when we go green. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We were just about to talk about the insane battling for second place as they were 3 wide. Instead, we have a bizarre blown engine moment. Dakota Moniz blows up in front of the field. The 5 and the 10 get involved with an incident, but here is a look at it. Dakota Moniz in the 5 machine. I mean, Zach, I'm going to have to relook at it, but this looks like potentially a misshift for the 5 that blows up heading down into turn number 1.
That is exactly what it looks like to me too, Sam. I think, unfortunately, oh wow, yeah, big hit there. But I think he went from third to second, so I think that right there kind of unfortunately shot the RPMs up way too high, and that motor just could not last. So it's an easy thing to do, especially some guys are running paddles, some guys are running the sequential shifting boxes. So it can be easily where you tap it one way or the other, and next thing you know, you're in the wrong gear. And you can see right there, boom, that went up into second, and that was all she wrote.
And right in front of the field, not much that can happen. You're kind of a pinball at that moment in time, and Dakota Moniz out of this race. Ryan Ferraro going to be heading into pit road to check out on his vehicle damage. And here's a look for the 66, who is trying to run his own race, and then everyone in front of him comes to a halt.
there's nothing you can do right here. I've been in this situation so many times. You're just looking at what's going on in front of you, and that happens so fast that, I mean, that's just the worst case scenario. And that's why you don't want to be back in the mix sometimes and get caught up in stuff like this. So that's so tough for Campbell and many others who got caught up in that. As Moniz, of course, no wrongdoing. It's just a simple mistake from him, and next thing you know, both cars are really hurt.
I think what makes that moment for Justin T. Campbell even more frustrating is the fact that he gave up that top 10 position earlier in the race, and that first caution we had to just top off with fuel, and has not been able to advance forward, gets caught up in a wreck that probably he shouldn't have been involved with, and now the night just becomes even longer for the 66 machine and a few others, as other drivers that enter pit road to get service done for themselves. Going to be Campbell, as well as Mark Morales, Maurice Gomillion, Ethan Smith, Malik Kuntz, Cody Smith, Ryan Ferraro going to be joining the pit road. Joiners with as well Dakota Moniz, who's got a required damage flag and most likely is done for the evening. Up front, though, as we were coming back from the commercial break, we were watching the battling happening for second, third, and fourth. They were 3 wide, getting ready to go chaotic off the exit turn 2. But Zach, I mean, I gotta say, I think we might be seeing the birth of a new rivalry. Anderson, Sora, they're going at it. Even at the choose line, they're fighting for every piece and scrap they can go for.
That they were, man. It was fun to watch, that's for sure. And unfortunately, we got that quick little yellow there as we come to the choose. So the first 2 will take the bottom. Anderson going to take that top. That's a smart decision, I think, from him to put himself up there. So we'll see him back side by side with Vincent Sora. So expect some more action to play out as the drivers come to that choose and decide where they want to place themselves.
Where do they want to go? Race control Nick Crawford has shown up, so he will be able to clear black flags, give out penalties if he sees them. So this is now where drivers, you might have been able to get away with things before. Now you got to be on your P's and Q's for the rest of this race. And Vincent, Sora, Anderson are attempting their go here. Going to be up front. Expecting how you want to tackle this restart, Zach. I mean, we saw Larry Yingling be aggressive with fresh rubber. Do you feel like these guys up front are going to do a similar strategy, or is everyone else going to be just backing off, taking it easy for the potential long run we could have?
I'm more or less interested to see if Yingling does it again, because it's really just, he did fall off. I mean, he fell back to 5th, and he was kind of riding there, just kind of stabilizing, but he definitely lost the lead. So going out there and getting that big lead hasn't really worked out too well. We also got some cloud coverage even coming over here right now. The track's kind of darkening up, so speed should pick up. We could very well see someone try to take off like that, but I think you want to somewhat manage those tires.
Thank you once again to everyone that's joining with us. We have a bonus point that's about to be on the line to be grabbed. That's our halfway leader. Whoever is leading at the halfway of this race will gain 1 bonus point. Sponsored by SG Racing. Go head over to SG_Racing to see all of your great point of view racing shots. For me, I'm Samuel S. Garcia. Gavin Rogers has a big wiggle and a slide further back in the field, but up front, Vincent Zora, Anderson, Talmadge, also Shelley. They're right back to that 3 wide battle that they had on the last restart. This go around, Shelley's putting the pressure on Anderson on the outside.
Shelley up the middle wants a part of this action, and he's going to be right in the mix down the back straightaway as Talmadge stuck on the bottom, Anderson up top, Shelley in the middle with Vincent Sora getting drafted up to by the 08, who's going to push him. So the action lights up is now the 98. He's looking for his first lap lead of the night.
Side by side, all the way through the field. Everyone trying to recognize if you take a quick position now, you can be rewarded later on across the line. Anderson will lead that lap. Shelley still will fight side by side for 3 wide position. This is shocking to see, but Sora, how much grip is up there on the high line? We haven't seen anyone that high here tonight, and he's got to attempt a good run, but Shelley stepping loose, going 4 wide onto the back stretch.
Wow, Sora had a moment too off the exit up in that gray stuff, kind of throwing some dust up in the air from his high line that he just ran. So got to be careful there. Shelley, like you said, his moment, he's dropped back to 5th. That was Yingling back up to 4th, and he's going to look to the inside of Talmadge here and try to make a run. But look at this. You also got Kelly and Cedric Hunter making a storm up here with Ryan Bird.
Yeah, I was just about to say some newcomers now emerging with some of the pit stops, some drivers having issues of falling back. It's now given new life for those drivers of Ryan Kelly, our pole sitter, be back in the mix. Cedric Hunter back up front. Chris Stitz as well inside of the top 10 once again. and right seeing the likes of Ryan Bird right into the mixture. And one driver though that we haven't really seen him emerge up front, but I got a feeling if we get into it's a full bore go mode, Cody Reed back in 10th place. That 88 is going to be a driver to watch out for later on in this run if we have some late cautions, as we've got ourselves 5 more laps to go to figure out who will be leading at the halfway zone and grab our SG_racing halfway bonus point. But Sora, Anderson, I mean, Zach, these two have no give up. They still are beating and banging off one another.
Yeah, these two are leading on one another, and it is it's making some racing up front as we're 3 wide for the lead now. As Tallman just trying to take advantage of it. Those two stuck up top, racing each other like that. That's going to open up the door for Yingling now. So look at this, 4 cars on top of one another.
And Anderson wanted to get inside of Sora, but there was Larry Yingling, and they almost made contact with Yingling again. Anderson, he is fighting, Sora is fighting, and they just want to brawl at this point. I don't know when this fighting decided to happen between these two, but it certainly is a blast for us to watch, as Sora, even with all the fighting, bickering and back and forth between the 08, lost the lead, gets the lead back, and Talmadge now will dive to the inside.
This has been great action here at Michigan. This Xfinity car putting on a show for us, as Talmadge is going to dive it up the inside. He will clear here, but will Sora have the run, or will the 67 get to the inside and kind of stifle that run? Is off the exit of 4. Looks like Talmadge will be able to hold on here to lead himself a lap.
As they finally get the 27 up front, Yingling fighting forward. Looks like he'll be stabilizing for now. But watch out for the 98 and the 03. What speed do they have currently for themselves? One driver, another blown engine. It's the 99 of Michael Miller back in 29th position. Falling backwards quickly. Miller, trouble strikes for himself. We stay green as he had his engine expire off the exit turn 4.
Yeah, that was very interesting. I think his might have been due to damage, actually. Watching. Yeah, I think his was damage, actually. Just unfortunately has expired that engine, maybe overheated it. So that's a tough break for Michael Miller there.
As the field continues to race on, Miller's about to be entering into pit road. Up front, it's Sora keeping the lead. But here comes Larry Yingling with a chance to fight for this top position. This is amazing to watch, as now Cedric Hunter, Shelly Anderson, they're trying to figure out where they want to pounce to get into the mixture of this top 3 group.
This has been great action, as a lot of new people starting to show up, with Shelly here coming back after his slide. Cedric Hunter starting to show some speed, and oh man, big slide from Shelly again as he's saving it all the way down the front straightaway. That's going to allow Cedric Hunter to perform. Oh, the wreck in front though!
No, Larry Yingling off the nose and down to the inside. He keeps it off the pit wall for the first wall, but not the second, and caution flag is out.
This is just some simple, I think, side draft racing going bad here, as they were very, very close up front. And you use all these aero games to try to make stuff happen, and sometimes you're just a little bit a few inches off, and that next thing you know can lead to disaster. As you can see the pushing and shoving going on there in the 27 game, the shot to the 67 to get the run.
As they are going for every fighting moment. Yingling with this great dashing move to the outside. Sora trying to stop the momentum any way possible. It's up to the quarter panel, but just too high, clips the 67, and away goes Yingling down into the grass. And at this point, hoping that he'll stay off that pit wall, but he slides too far, too much momentum, and a small little contact to the front bumper. Could have been a lot worse, but that's some damage he's going to have to fix up. You look at the 15 of Vincent Sora, he went from the lead all the way back to 5th. He's starting to get some of those positions back, but he let off the throttle immediately, feeling bad about the contact between himself and Yingling that are notoriously known for great battles between themselves, just not brawling out. I think for Sora, kind of got in that mode of make contact, we make contact, and accidentally just a little bit too much at the wrong spot.
Yeah, he just drifted up just a tiny bit from looking at that one look we had. So tough break for the 60-70 Larry Yingling. He's going to have to definitely get that front end looked at, as, you know, it didn't look like it was too bad of a hit, but we know that these Xfinity cars sometimes can be a little finicky with damage, even sometimes with it having been an owner damage model too. So it'll be interesting to see how that 67 can deal with that and get that fixed up, and also interested to see what the decision is going to be on tires here, because We saw a mixed bag of that first caution. Everybody cuts back up onto the track. Cedric Hunter is by himself.
Cedric Hunter going to be heading into pit road. And at this point, you have to take a set. And that will be his third set of tires, while everyone else still with two. The big plus side is Hunter's going to have over a 15-lap advantage on tires to work with, and how aggressive everyone was racing. He should shoot his way through the field pretty quickly. But looking at that, Zach, a little bit of splash and go for the 13, as he does not want to waste a set just yet.
Yeah, it looks like just getting fuel in the race car, so that'll be interesting. That will loosen the race car up more, and they're already dealing with that, so that'll make things interesting for them balance-wise, but maybe trying to open up a door to a different strategy here that some of the other drivers can't get into. So a ton of track position given up by this 13, but those stages here at Trinity, you can give up that track position if you feel like it can overall outcome to a better finish in the race. And I love that about not having the stages. You can kind of make an early call that may not look like it's working out right now, but it's going to pay off in the long run possibly.
Yeah, removing stages no longer at a certain point early in the race. If you're inside the top 10, you get bonus points. Instead, there's just one single bonus point to be given for the driver leading at the halfway point of this race. And at the time of contact, Vincent Sora, Larry Yingling, they were battling to be the leader of who was at the line at the halfway zone. It was actually the 67 of Larry Yingling who will be taking our SG_Racing bonus point award. Congratulations to Larry Yingling, even though it came with the cost of front-end damage that he had to get repaired, all the way back in 30th position for the 67. It's time for the choose. Who goes low? Who goes high? Can you find an advantage to move forward? As currently, not sure if Talmadge wants to go high. He will go high, and Sora goes low.
A lot of decisions to be made here for a few, and that outside a very popular position, I think, as you see multiple drivers lose some contact almost made there, as it can get a little bit tricky sometimes when drivers aren't in that middle lane. They make that choice, so it can make things stack up a little bit.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think some of the drivers feel like, well, I've made my choice, so I'm going to stay here. They kind of forget the drivers ahead of them and sometimes make some light moves. Luckily, no contact made, but Thomas Green has had a couple of very close moments as he continues to stay on the outside lane. Drivers up front. This is it's going to be Jared Talmadge, Vincent Sora, just deciding not to head into pit road. Is going to be our whole top 23. Drivers that did come into pit road, topping off on fuel, was Cedric Hunter. Taking a set of tires was Ethan Smith. Also getting a little bit of damage repair, Ben Keeney. Maurice Gomillion going to just top off on fuel. Repairs for Wells, Yingling, Hicks, as well as Ferraro. Still in pit road is Maurice Gomillion, and Michael Miller, Justin D. Campbell, and Dakota Moniz have all called it a day. We're down to just 31 drivers that are on the lead lap of the 36 that started here tonight. But how well can these old tires hold back the hard charge and expected to be 00 of Ethan Smith? Smith will start on the outside, right next to Cedric Hunter. I think he'll be the funnest driver to watch moving through the field. But up front, how much more action do they want to give? The sun comes out, and so do the drivers. Get ready for who can survive this restart and this quick stint as Talmadge, Sora, great launch for themselves. The battle for third stays side by side as your Team Watson Racing setup 220 is back underway.
Great start from that 27 up top, but like you said, we're going to have to definitely watch that 00. He has got the freshest tires in the field, and he's one of the three that stayed out on that first caution, so not surprised to see him, or that second caution that everybody pitted, not surprised to see him come utilize those tires, and I think you're going to see him kind of pretty quickly making up ground.
I make up the ground as fast as possible as you see the field driving on by off the exit of turn 4. Top 2, single file out, side by side for third place is going to be Shelley and Anderson. Where again they make the moves, or do you stay in line? Talmadge was really doing a great job just settling where he was at. He wasn't really putting a lot of pressure in battling side by side like we were seeing Sora and Shelley and Anderson. But you could see the fact that they all know track position is key, and they don't want to just give it up so easily.
That they don't. You see Vince Sora there. He's trying everything to hold on the second as he's going to dive in front of the 08 of Anderson. Those two have been so close to each other all night long as the 15 slides up the 08 to the inside. Now the 98, he's got the 30 under pressure with Ryan Kelly, our pole setter, coming back up here. And look at Ryan Bird trying to break into the top 5 along with Cody Reed.
As Cody Reed doing everything as possible in that black 88 machine, currently up to 7th place, and just watching the action as they'll go 3 wide, battling for 2nd place. Anderson will take the advantage. Sora backs off. Kelly's trying to find out where he wants to go with the 98. Further on back, still a large gaggle of drivers battling for outside the top 20, but up front, this is some of the best action you could ask for as Anderson, Sora, once again, just side by side, trying to maximize their speed off the exit of the corner, and it's Talmadge just somehow fitting it in the box perfectly as the two drifted up.
God, that 15 pushed the 27 down the straightaway too, but that side draft's so powerful to keep them all stacked up in a box like that. And look at Anderson, he might be able to clear the 27 here on the exit of 2, and he will.
Able to clear, and now a new leader going to be Jackson Anderson. They just continue to swap back and forth. Talmadge now will attempt his chance to slide job his way to the inside. Update for the 00 of Ethan Smith. He started all the way back around 28th, and more contact going to be made. Now it's a new contender getting into the 08. Talmadge also going to be seeing Anderson back and forth. Sora trying to take advantage. Bird settles in on the inside, and our top 5 all on top of each other, just looking for an opening. Inside driver going to be Talmadge. Will he drift up into Anderson as Sora drives away? Almost contact. They're using each other up off the exit of the corner, and Anderson holds on. And Zach, the brawl just continues to happen here.
This is wild racing here in Michigan. And look at this. The 15 going to cut right in front of the 08 here. They're trying to take the air away from him. But look, the 15 going to slide up here on exit. Now the 08 going to drift up too. This is going to be very hair-raising action all the way down to this checker flag at lap 110. I'm telling you, unless something major happens between these top group here, they're going to stay like this, it seems like, for the majority of this race.
20 laps away from expected green flag pit stops. If we somehow stay green, that's going to be the big question of this run. It just feels like each restart, they get more and more comfortable or more aggressive. It's hard to tell which one they're feeling between the drivers because they're just attempting these big moves. And you can tell they're feeling a lot more comfortable, that a lot more chances of dive bomb passes as Bird attempted the inside. Kelly as well attempted the outside. Both had to back off, and Shelley and Talmadge hold position. But Zach, I mean, at this point, you can tell some of the drivers, this is just pure aggression. They are racing each other with everything they have. Others, it feels like they're finally gaining a sense of how this vehicle runs this late into the race.
Yeah, this has been so fun to watch. So far, still wrecking farther back. Ethan Valera and Samuel Garcia, I believe. Yeah, big one off of 2.
And it looks to be multiple different wrecks, 2 separate incidences that collide into one. And Dallaire, hard contact for himself. Garcia as well. Ali Fonseca was around that mixture. Same for Joshua Kanata as they were racing hard off the exit of turn 2. And it looks like for Dallaire, just attempted a massive dive bomb move that just went wrong immediately. And multiple drivers just piling in late.
Yeah, this is a bad move right here. If you ever want to see a bad move, this is definitely misjudging it, so to say. I think Dallaire's going to definitely be going back and saying, I wish I could take that one back, because we're going to have a little technical difficulties right here getting back to this replay, guys. But it was, I would say a big miss in the corner, but here we go. This is going to be it right here, the 22 to the inside of that 85, and just, you can see, never makes the corner. And once they get connected, it just shoots them up even worse.
And then another pack of drivers that were on the outside just come creaming in. It just is bizarre to see that incident of how they went in. I kind of want to take a closer look of how the entry was, because the entry of the 22, this was a bizarre just take for himself. He's side by side on the outside. Usually you just attempt to go maybe that first seam, but he went all the way down, practically hit the apron, and that's what shot him up into Garcia.
And I think he would have hit, if the contact wasn't made between Garcia and him, if Garcia wasn't there, I think he was still going to hit the 24 Fonseca even with his right front. So just a very optimistic move that did not play out the way I think he was hoping. I think he thought he was going to slide up the track and have plenty of room, but you go that low in this progressive big track like it is, that bottom lane just not as big. You will slide up the racetrack, and unfortunately for Garcia, he's just minding his own business right here and just kind of gets taken out almost.
Yeah, and seeing the new pack of drivers entering in, those drivers that went by the 3 machine of Thomas Green, He was one of the drivers that was on the outside. Austin Halsey, Aaron Kralik. It was a grouping of about 8 drivers that were side by side, 2 wide, that were attempting to get through that wreck. And it's going to be funny to watch because if you look to the inside, Larry Yingling, right when he hears caution, he slams on the brakes and just backs off immediately, which spooks Kralik. And then these drivers just keep moving forward. Halsey gets into Kralik, Green nowhere to go. And there's the contact of a few drivers getting into Dallaire.
Whew, definitely different ways to approach it right there, and some contact, like you said, there with Aaron Kralik there. Kind of getting a little bit spooked, but that was some wild racing. And right now we've had some major decisions made too. Anderson, Bird, and Morales stay out here as Vince Suarez led the rest of the field down the pit road.
Yeah, and I like the thought of we're trying to save a set of tires. The only problem is, based on what we've seen so far, even if you have a 15-lap advantage on tires, it takes a while just to gain 5-6 positions back. It's tough to take a full field and get by everyone. And I think this is what's going to put Anderson, Bird, and Morales in a tough spot with being only 3 drivers up ahead. This is similar to what we saw under our second caution when we saw 3 drivers stay out, that being Ale Fonseca, Ethan Smith, and Mark Labertone. They just got swamped by the field within 2 laps. I'm expecting a similar situation to happen here as Morales goes low on the Choose the 9. We'll be starting on the inside of the front row.
This is going to be quite an interesting start now. How does Anderson, how does Morales and Bird deal with this here? We've seen about a similar style, distance between the tires. It was 19 earlier for some of the drivers who stayed out, and that was very quickly the into their track position. So this could get very wild here, especially, Anderson's not going to be willing to want to try to slide back as far as he can. He's going to want to try to stay as far up here and possibly catch a caution at some point and have an advantage over these other drivers.
Looking for every possible chance you can have. Under that last caution that we just had, 2 drivers with required damage. That's Samuel S. Garcia and Ethan Dallaire, both going to be sent to pit road. They've both been sitting there for over 3 minutes, and both of their nights could be over already. Anderson, who's been one of the fastest drivers here tonight, was the gamble worth it? Staying out, that's going to be the true question on this restart. As we're closing in to lap 70, still lots of racing action to go. We've got until lap 110. I think the field kind of had a sense this was going to be a long race if we had a lot of cautions. And with how loose this track condition has been, I'm not surprised on how tough it's been overall throughout the night to keep it clean and green. Pace car is off, and it's time for the Team Watson Racing Setup 220 to get back underway. Your Trinity Racing League, presented by Larry Art Productions, has a little bit of wheel spin on the inside for Mark Morales. Everyone else on the inside group able to take off and go, but it's Bird, Anderson trying to take off and go as Talmadge, Mark Morales, huge block, Martin spun, the 9 goes around, back into the field, and contact is made. More drivers trying to get through, more contact, and it's a never-ending just spill as the 9 machine just rolls on.
Oh no, that is a wild incident there, and Talmadge trying to get out out from behind the old tires and wanted to go to the inside, and the 9 Morales said, "No, you're not doing it. I want to cover it off." And unfortunately, the 27 is going to hook him right here, so we're going to see this on the restart right here coming to the thing. And I don't think the 9 got the greatest start. I don't know if just maybe a little bit of wheel spin, even like you said, Sam. You can see right there the back end kind of wiggle.
At this point, you're on old tires. You kind of have to just let the newer tires go. But Martin, late block, gets spun off the nose of the 27, then comes sliding back across the field. And that's going to be Mark Labertone, who goes piling in. At this point, you're just hoping lock it down. But Mauricio Millian pushes the 9 down, who gets into Gavin Rogers, and just a bad wreck that probably shouldn't have happened, getting so much worse.
Yeah, like you said, probably really shouldn't have happened there. I mean, definitely ambitious move from Martin there to try and cover up that inside. I just don't know if it was ever going to work with the difference on the tires. So it's tough to see, especially for Rogers back here. Like, we're going to ride on both here and you can see this is not what this 75 needs.
Not at all. as there was nowhere to go.
Yeah.
That's just a heartbreaking moment in time, and you could see that front right 80s just kinked in, not in the right way you want to see. I know Mark Labertone, he was trying to slow down on that incident for the 44. There was just nowhere for him to go, but it looked like we jabbed the brakes, locked it up, and had the wiggle wobble as he was going into that incident for himself, as Rogers tries to go low, and there's just nothing for him to do.
Yeah, no way to expect that 9 car shooting back down low right there, and just catches some good, front end damage that you don't want to have there. As you see Mark Labertone just destroyed from the hit that he took. No way for him to expect that car exploding back up the racetrack like that. So tough break for the 44, who was having a decent night.
Yeah, Mark's been of recent. I know he's still been caught up in wrecks, but he's had the survivability to have some decent finishes for himself, but it doesn't look like the survivability was there on that incident. It's going to be Mark Morales hit with a required damage flag. He's sent to pit road. We're expecting Labertone and maybe even the 75 Kevin Rogers to be in there for quite a while as the field gets to reset. And Zach, we still have, crazy to say, we still have 40 laps, a little bit under 40 laps to go here tonight. Still a lot of racing. If you pit now and top off on fuel, you're good on fuel to make it to the end. Tires wise, everyone's trying to save at least one set for a late restart. This is a tough decision to make, I think, for a lot of the field of do you top off or not. But with the last pit stop, that last caution we had, and it makes it easy for some that they just want to stay out.
Yeah, I think that's the decision for them, especially remember to catch some yellow flags that make that possible for yourself. So we'll see how this works out, but this is definitely coming to a wild conclusion, I'm sure. I mean, the whole night so far has been, a really handful from the driver's side with the cars, but that has made the racing, in my opinion, really, really good, because you get these tight race cars out here at Michigan. I think they would have been very much struggling in the past. Tonight, we've been able to see great side-by-side action, and I think it's really due to these cars being very, very loose and turning very well through the corner. So it's produced quite the show, and right now we're going to see if the two guys on old tires can hold on for the time being, because Anderson and Bird both chose the outside on this restart here.
I think that's been an interesting part on Bird on following Anderson. We'll see how that's going to reward the 49. I think because he knows that Anderson's going to be the control vehicle, hoping to get a cleaner start with him. We'll see what Jared Talmadge, how aggressive a dive bomb move he's willing to take. Those fresher tires going to give him a much better entry into the corner. Should be a little bit of extra grip to work with, but cold tires still not your friend, especially with the quick caution coming out. This is a dangerous restart with those on old tires, those on new. They're both struggling with cold rubber, and the pace car waiting to pull off to give us this amazing action. Once again, thank you for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You're watching the Trinity Racing League presented by Larry Arts Production. Michigan has been a wild one for race 8 of the season. It's the Team Watson Racing setup 225. Inside doesn't take off and go. It's Anderson and Bird with a good launch for themselves. But here we go. Talmadge, Sora. It's time for the takeoff and go down into turn number 1. Here we go, Zach. Fresh rubber versus new. Will the top two survive? And it looks like Bird is already getting swarmed.
Definitely going to be tough from the hold on with those tires. I think one corner, it was going to be kind of fine. When you get to the second corner, though, I think you're going to start to see a stark difference between the grip levels of these drivers. So let's see how this works out now, as Talmadge going to have that fresher tire, going to look to the outside and just have the grip here to get right to the quarter panel. Let's look at Shelley around Bird, and then you got the 15 of Sora. So they're all trying to gang up and get around the old tires.
Trying to get by as quickly as possible. Anderson trying to defend the best that he can. He's going to squeeze that 27 as high up as he can. Almost contact on entry to the corner. That's just trying to slow up the 27. That's all that Anderson's trying to do. Then get an early apex to try to accelerate off the exit of the corner, but that outside carries too much momentum, and Talmadge is clear and can set sail, trying to pull away from Shelley and Sora, which, I mean, you look at Sora, he's still back around that 5th place position, about to move up into 4th. That 15 we know is going to be a threat to watch out for Anderson. Credit, oh boy, Kelly and Stitz with contact between themselves. Dive bomb move to the inside, trying to find spacing to draft to get by the 08 of Anderson. But Zach, the contact, the squeezing, watch out!
Oh.
Cody Reed wrecks our pole center, and right into Ryan Bird. Another caution flies.
Oh no, and that was a huge hit for our pole setter of Ryan Kelly. I mean, that was gigantic. And I think it was it was just a little bit of the 88, I think, of Cody Reed coming down, and unfortunately Christopher Norris is a little bit offset from Ryan Kelly. And I think that catches kind of Cody Reed off guard. We're going to see here that was a little bit of contact between the two teammates there of Kelly. And this gives a big run here as the 88's going to jump down here, try to chop down in front of the 38 of Christopher Norris, but he's going to be in this middle. You see Christopher Norris a little offset still, and side by side with Cody Reed, that's going to turn him, that catches that 30 machine.
Yeah, it's just that aggressive pinching motion. Usually when we talk about the pinch, it's in the middle of the corner. Outside driver tries to stay as low as they can, not allow that inside driver to accelerate. There's also on an entry, the driver on the inside can stay as high as they want. And it looks like for Christopher Norris, he was trying to pinch and hold Cody Reed stationary, so he wasn't going to get a good run. And with everyone closing in, just one small mistake, and away goes Kelly, just like that.
It's just in a blink of an eye, and his car is destroyed night over for that 30 machine, who he's just had some bad luck a few times this season getting caught up in things. So it's tough to see, but you know, hard racing here. I'm not surprised to see some of this action happen.
Ryan Bird, who also was an innocent victim in that carnage at 49, given a required going to be given a required pit ball flag, so he's got to head to pit road. But you can see there the bickering between the 38 and the 88, just small little contacts being made. It's kind of weird to see.
Just getting clipped by that 30 coming across that 49, just in such a tough spot. So the older tires just trying to hang on for Ryan Bird, and he is going to get caught in this, Sam. So this is tough for him, who was having a really good run, was up in the top 10, almost in the top 5 at some points here in this race, and just going to get caught in this. And again, when there is this much action going on, it's hard not to get caught up in someone else's mess.
And just contact made. Ryan Kelly comes dashing right in front of the 49, and pit stop now. Forced into pit road for Ryan Bird and Kelly, as looks like their night expected to be done. I mean, it's crazy to say, all the way back 40 laps into this race, we had 31 drivers on the lead lap. We had 4 drivers that were officially out of this race. And within the next 40 laps, another cluster of about 8 drivers now going to be joining the mixture of Dallaire, Miller, Kuntz, Campbell, and Morales, with sitting in pit road and just trying to get repairs done, as we got 23 drivers out on track running at semi full pace, and curious on how well they can continue on, as with the timing of this caution, Jackson Anderson will come into pit road, get his 4 tires and fuel, and he'll be starting all the way back in 23rd position. Zach, he only was able to get about 6 laps of green flag racing difference on tires. I don't think that's the difference he was hoping for. This is going to be a long trek if he wants to get back for the battle for the lead.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough for him. He's going to have to get aggressive. I mean, we've seen aggressive racing with him all night long with all these drivers up front. So he's going to have to get on top of that wheel if he wants to get back up there, because this is going to be quite the trek. And like you said, I think only about 6 to 5 laps at most under green condition on these tires. And some of these drivers might have been pacing themselves already. So you see the choose here is you're going to have Talmadge take that inside, Shelley take the outside to lead the way. But we'll see how that 08 transitions and see if he can get himself back to maybe get 2 in a row here tonight.
It's always fun seeing the way that they decide to go low or high, how you got about 2-3 guys will go one direction, and then 2 or 3 will go the others, and they're equally trying to space out, count in front of them where they need to go, get the advantage on track position. Others feel like the outside or the inside might just have the overall advantage when you take a restart. It's fun to see the games that are made with the choose rule, but makes things a lot harder for some that would love to gain positions, or we're hoping to be in a better spot. Talmadge, Shelley, going to be the lead drivers on this go. Look back at some of the other drivers further on back that were hoping for a better day. Gavin Rogers with that damage back around 16th place. But here's your race report. 8 cautions in total. I think the fun part about this, lead changes. 18 lead changes, 6 different leaders. It has been a constant change up with 58 laps of green flag racing of our 79. Drivers are hoping that we can maybe stay clean and green for the rest of this thing, as we will have 31 laps to go when we take the green flag here. There's a chance of more cautions. There's a chance of more chaos. There's also a chance of some great racing to finish off your Team Watson Racing setup 220 entering the restart zone, and Talmadge takes off and go on the inside. Stitz trying to follow in suit as Shelley. Where will he place himself, or does Vincent Sora force the issue as they roar down into turn number 1?
Great start from the 27 machine. He's able to clear that 98. Is look at Chris Stintz diving up the inside, looking for possibly second here off the exit of 2. But will the help of the 15 and the 98 down the back there beating up is Cody Reed. He's got himself into the top 5 with Christopher Norris in 6th.
I'm looking at all the drivers and the way that they're pressing forward. One big watch out moment. Jackson Anderson is using his tires. Zach, he has already climbed to 17th place. He restarted back in 21st. He is utilizing the tires the most efficiently out of anyone we've watched so far that has taken a fresh set, but it comes with the risk. We saw how terribly this ruined Larry Yingling's tires on that second green flag run that the drivers had. Got to keep our eyes out on that. But we also have to move up for the battle for 4th, because we've got some similar drivers that we're battling to bring out our last caution. They're 3 wide once again, as it is going to be Cody Reed, Fitz, Norris, all side by side trying to move forward.
You got Shelley even up front trying to make the move on Jared Talmadge. He's going to slide up in front of the 27. And look at the 38. He's drifting here, trying to keep it off the door of these other drivers, but he's holding on for dear life as Shelley leads this lap as it stacks up on the outside here. As you even got Cedric Hunter coming into this group.
Cody Reed, Cedric Hunter, they've been the ones that have slowly marched their way forward. Christopher Norris spooking Talmadge, who has to move back up to the outside lane, giving a chance for Vincent Sora to tackle for 3rd place. 38 moving on up to 2nd position, and Shelley has got a new contender behind him, with also one that's been there all night long, as Norris, Sora, bang, bang, Vincent Sora, you better be careful. Christopher Norris, he's willing to move drivers around.
Man, oh man, the 27 there giving the shove to the 38 down the back straightaway. That almost was a disaster. As now Norris trying to gather it up, and he's lost a ton of time now as Fonseca comes into the mix in the 24 machine.
Ollie Fonseca, last time he was up here, he was because he took an advantage, took a chance on older tires, but now on equal footing, the 24, in almost an absolute need to have a perfect race of finishing instead of the top 5, trying to move forward. But behind them, you can see Yingling, Anderson, the 08 has cracked the top 10. He's on the charge on the outside now.
Oh, and he also got into the 16 of Kanata, put him in the wall off the exit of 2. I'm pretty sure they made contact. If it wasn't contact, it was as close as possible without being contact. So Anderson definitely using every bit of those tires to get up here, and we'll see what he has left once he gets to the front possible.
I mean, Zach, I think some of the drivers might have forgotten. We still have 25 laps to go. If you burn your stuff up now, you may not have anything to work with later on. I know the field knows there's at least one set of tires left underneath them, but 3 wide for the lead. Is this risk even worth it? Because you can make a pass within a lap or 2, but you have to make sure you've got the tires to even attempt this type of a move. Stora stays high. Talmadge stays in the middle. Stitz rocketing his way on the inside, but with no drafting help, the 17's at a loss. It's Talmadge being bumped by the 13 Hello Kitty machine as they try to push their way forward.
This is wild racing, man. These guys are all willing to risk it. Like you said, Sam, I feel like playing it safe might be the better bet, but I think a lot of these guys just are going for it at this point. We'll see if it hurts them. But at this point, the race has been fantastic, and right now, Talmadge trying to stop the run coming from the 15 down the back straightaway.
Trying to go back and forth. Where can you go? Cody Reed just settles in and watches back in 7th, but in 8th place, it's the 08. Jackson Anderson has entered back into the picture for the battle for the lead. Stitz with a big slide. He'll keep it down low. Oh, Cedric Hunter with the slide on the outside. Sora goes around. Bump goes wrong. Cody Reed and multiple others involved. Sora's caught up in another one. 2 weeks in a row. Vincent Sora's day when he's racing up front.
Oh, man, this is going to be... It really all started. The 13 slid up in front of the 15. The 15 got a little bit into the back bumper. Got him a little loose. That checks the 15 up, who's trying to let the 13 gather it up. And from there, Fonseca can't react quick enough to slow his car down, and he's just going to right in the back of the 15. So this was just hard racing, and we felt like at some point this is what it was going to come to.
Yeah, it was bubbling up to something was going to break, and it was just everyone searching for speed, and bad bump after bad bump, and Ali Fonseca just shipping the 15 up into Shelley, into Hunter, Cody Reed, Christopher Norris, and Jackson Anderson squeaks on by, not involved in this one. Sora goes back up, but everyone else has already gotten involved. And now the question, do you pit? Some of the drivers still have one, some have 2 sets left in their back pocket. And Zach, with the fact that we've got less than 25 laps to go, this is your time to maybe take your final set of tires.
I think this is probably it, Sam. Yeah, I mean, if you got 2 sets, you're definitely coming down, I feel like. But if you only got one, I think you got to come down 2. I think that decision is kind of perfectly timed for this point, especially if we start to get some yellow flags. You're not going to want to give up too much track position here later. That timing will just be too tough. Is right on board here with Cody Reed. I think it was Christopher Norris there who took that hit.
Cody Reed, Christopher Norris, both got a little bit of contact. Gavin Rogers, who's been caught up in a couple of wrecks here tonight, still racing on. He's back in 10th place. Also, another driver caught up in that incident, Thomas Green in 9th. One driver that's instead of our top 10 we haven't talked about. I kind of feel bad by mentioning him, but we have to. Noah Steele, haven't talked about the 8 once here tonight, is inside of the top 10 and now has to make the decision, pit road or not. Norris with no hood will stay in pit road for a little bit longer than most. That could be another position the 8 could steal here with everyone heading into pit road.
Yeah, this is interesting. You're going to have Jarrett Talmadge also stay out. Same with Cedric Hunter, who, in my opinion, Hunter took a huge hit to the rear end, I thought, from that wreck, but maybe it's all good damage-wise for him and everything's all straight, but they stay out. Thomas Green, I believe he also stays out here along with Gavin Rogers. So, yeah, this is a interesting call here. I would have felt like that time buy right there should have possibly been the best one, especially because there's going to be a lot of people staying out for the rest of this race because this is most people's last set of tires.
Yeah, looking at it, I mean, Cedric Hunter, he's pitted 4 times already. Thomas Green, last time he pitted, which was his 4th, was just a stop and go for fuel. Gavin Rogers has been in pit road 4 times. Nolan Hicks been in pit road 4 times. I'm assuming a lot of those drivers, not every time that they went into pit road, they took tires, but a couple of drivers staying out. I'm looking at Larry Yingling, Zach, taking another gamble, and I'm not a fan of this gamble. I know he's taking it because of track position. 2 tire call for the 67. Based on what we saw from Christopher Norris earlier in the race, they might be good for about a lap or 2, and then you are loose for the run throughout the rest of the run. This 67 is going to have a tough time for the rest of the race, which I believe that was his final set of tires that he's taking here tonight.
I believe so too, Sam. And yeah, that is going to make that car very loose. I mean, the only thing I can think that he can kind of counter that with is not taking fuel. If he's already had enough fuel, it feels like safe to make it to the end of this race. If you can take the minimal amount to get to the end, it will help that balance just a tiny bit, but we'll have to see. I mean, it definitely didn't work out for Christopher Norris earlier, but can Larry Yingling make it work later in this race?
As the field gets ready and as they are making their choose, update on some of the drivers that have been caught up in wrecks so far here tonight. Looks like Vincent Sora, his night should be done. 25th on back, except for Mark Labertone on 27th. Are sitting in pit road and their nights are done. Most recently, Cody Reed has called it an evening as he has left the server with Ryan Bird. And the drivers are still on the lead lap. That's your top 24 with Christopher Norris, Ryan Ferraro, Maurice Gomillion, Travis Downing, and Aaron Kralik finishing out your drivers that are just outside of the top 20 up front. Those that did not pit, that's your top 7. Jarrett Talmadge, Cedric Hunter, Thomas Green, Gavin Rogers, Nolan Hicks, Ben Keeney, and Joshua Kanata. A couple of those names under that last green flag run, we talked about how they either got contact with someone, they were involved with the last wreck that brought out the yellow, and drivers have just been in wounded vehicles all night long. How well can they stay up front? And also, how strong is the 67 going to be on the inside with those 2 tires? Everyone else took 4 tires and fuel, and it is time to see what this final push, 21 laps to go, here this evening from Michigan. You're watching the Trinity Racing League on Monday night here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, Season 1, Race 8. Your Team Watson Racing set up 220 at Michigan. has had a lot of ups and a lot of downs. But man, has it been fun to watch all the way through. What will the conclusion have for us? Let's find out as Talmadge gives us the green. Thomas Green follows in suit. And now the rest of the field has to make the decision. Do those on old tires fight, or do you back off immediately? Because here we go, Zach. Game is on. They're already 4 wide, battling for 8th to 7th place.
Wow. These drivers are all going for it right now. They know that they got to use those fresh tires as there's some contact. I believe that's Ali Fonseca up into the wall. No, sorry. I believe that was actually Noah Steele in the 8. So Fonseca makes it through the 8 up into the wall. But it is really much a rat race right here from farther back. And Cedric Hunter, big moment for him.
He went into the corner and just body slammed Gavin Rogers. I think he was expecting the 75 to turn more into the corner and just absolutely smashed them. And they will lose ground. Is the 13 who continues to falter back. Gavin Rogers now going to be a sitting duck as Anderson, Larry Yingling, Nolan Hicks, they're all on top of that 75 who's doing his best to survive at this moment. Talmadge Green, they'll just fight on, but it's Anderson with fresh rubber up to 3rd. The 08 wants to go back to back, but you look behind them, there's still some heavy contenders, but all the drivers that really fought back at Anderson are out of this race. Yingling's one of the last ones with Fonseca.
That he is. He's on 2 tires, so we'll see how he can fight back, but here we go. Thomas Green tried to cover off that bottom and thought that was going to be the way to keep Anderson back, but Anderson immediately gets to the right rear quarter panel, and now we'll see those fresh tires really be to use here once we get to the corner. We'll see if the 08 can clear and have a charge toward the 27 up front, because right now he's looking pretty loose there off the exit, but he's going to clear.
Yingling, a little bit of a slide through the middle of the corner, able to keep his foot in the throttle, though, as he fights that 67 off the exit of turn 2. That is not a good sign. If we're already just 2 laps into this green flag run and he's struggling, I'm worried for when we're about 3 or 4 laps from here to the end. As Ali Fonseca, fresh rubber, now he'll duck down low, trying to get by Thomas Green. The battle for the lead. Anderson almost already clear to Talmadge. Talmadge just has a quarter panel on the entry of the corner. Anderson, Talmadge fighting back and forth, but the 08 with fresher rubber, slight tap on the entry, and he'll take the lead as Yingling just watching his competition walk away. But this is where, if you're Anderson, you've got to pace yourself. You don't want to just sprint away from the field. Pace yourself to overuse those tires, even though Yingling's in a losing battle where he sits right now.
Yeah, this is a very interesting spot if you're Jackson Anderson. Like you said, you can't just sprint. You really can't, because you need these tires to last. You don't want to have a situation where 3, 4 to go, you're getting your back bumper beat off by the driver behind you because you're struggling. So right now, Yingling on the 2 tires is making them work. But look at Fonseca, he's starting to make some time. And then I'll tell you the other one you got to watch, Chris Stitz in the 17 machine. He could be one to watch out for. He's been so good on the longer runs throughout tonight.
He really has been. And every time that he finally closes in on the top 4, top 3, it's just a caution would come up. This 17 expected to be a strong fighter to watch out for. Ali Fonseca, Larry Yingling, they almost made contact off the through 3 and 4. Gives a chance for Stitz to close in on this gap. And even with the battling between Yingling and Ali Fonseca, Anderson did not pull away. He stayed at 4/10, not trying too much on these tires. And you look at some of the other drivers of note that are on fresh rubber, trying to close in the gap. Ethan Smith, he is trying to connect his way for the 00. He's on fresh rubber. Noah Steele, who got into the outside wall in that last restart, he's currently on fresh rubber, trying to move forward. And Isaac Shelley might have been caught up in an incident, might have grabbed a little bit of damage. He runs an 8th with fresh rubber as well. But the battle for second, Yingling, Stitz, Fonseca. Stitz needs to get by this 67. That's just holding back all the momentum these drivers have.
I think that was Larry Yingling's kind of plan the whole time. Those 2 teammates felt like he wanted to try to make sure that 24 didn't get ahead of the 17. And right now, though, the 24 is trying to make a difference, though, because he's trying to put it in the middle 3 wide. Yingling holding on. Those 2 tires are definitely loose.
Definitely loose, but it's Chris Stitz that now is in second. It is his chance to try to run down and catch up to Anderson ahead of him. Where will the speed lie for the 17? We've watched Anderson battle. He's had to be a gladiator tonight with all the drivers getting into one another. Yingling and Fonseca, they're battling as well up to the outside wall. We've seen that all throughout the night. Anderson has survived chaos. He's survived the big ones. But right now, what does the 08 have if Stitz can start to run him down? But Ollie Fonseca, Zach, I mean, this 24, with all the risk, all the gamble that we've seen from the 67 to the 24, they got to make sure they don't just throw it all away right here on this run with 14 laps to go.
That we are, and I tell you what, they are not giving up on each other. And look at that into the corner. I think the 24 thought the 67 was going to turn in lower. 67 kind of straightens the corner out. The 24 going to go up the racetrack, and the 67 Yingling going to hold on. But here comes Ethan Smith in the 0-0, and then the 8 of Noah Steele, some new contenders.
New contenders that are all within 2 seconds of our leader. As long as they're connected with the draft, there is a chance that you could try to run down Anderson, who is still up ahead, running 39.3 second lap times. That's faster than everyone else on the track, except for Chris Stitz. I'm looking at the pace of our front two. It looks to be just a battle between those two drivers, Zach. But honestly, if you're Fonseca, if you're Yingling, do you even let the 0-0 and 8 go on by? Because it just seems like for Fonseca, he is finally able to find clearance. But what are these tires looking like after that battle with the 67?
What a gap we've seen open up because of all this for sure. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the 24's tire is going to hold on. Now the 8 going up the inside with the 0-0 on the 67. It's the 08, the 0-0 slides up right in front of Yingling, and he had to back out at major there. As this has brought Shelley back into the mix here, and Shelley here, he's on also the same tires as these drivers.
12 laps to go, and Anderson's gap continues to grow. I'm looking at a couple of other battles that are happening. And we've got this pack of drivers. This is the battling from 3rd all the way back to 8th place. Then the battling that's happening from 9th back to 15th. That's another grouping of drivers that I'm keeping my eye on if someone makes a mistake there, because they've got old tires versus new in the middle of that gaggle. But we keep our eyes on the battle for 3rd place. Zach, Fonseca, Steele. These two have had their battles between one another back in the ISRC truck days, all the way back in season 3 and 4. Now they get to battle here for the season 1 at Trinity just a few years later, and still putting on a fantastic show if it's just for 3rd place.
That it is. This is a great show right here for us. And Steele, I think, taking advantage of that 24 having to use his tires up, racing so hard here for that 3rd position between him and the 67. Maybe it just hurt those tires a little bit as the 8 is now starting to charge away. But I tell you what, and we talked about Anderson up front, maybe burning the tires up. He is gone. He's a 2.5 out clear here. And with 10 laps to go here, I don't think he could be in a better position.
No, that last lap, Stitz just completely fell apart. He was 4/10 slower than Anderson and just completely lost the draft. He lost touch to that battle for the lead. Noah Steele running similar lap times to our leader. Only problem, he's about 2 seconds behind. The gap it's growing too quickly for a chance for Steele or Fonseca or even Ethan Smith to run down Anderson. The one driver that was trying to stall out that 08 got taken out. That was the 15 of Vincent Sora. We saw a couple of other drivers throw their hats on battling with the 08. I think the only way Anderson potentially could throw this race away is if he burnt off those tires, and like you said, those final 3 laps, he just has a dramatic fall off, or if a caution flag comes out as Labertone stays high for the leader, and everyone else gonna have to find a way to survive the ending of this race.
They are, and Stitz, his car has just gone away from him here, not able to run 39s like a majority of these drivers can. Steele makes the pass for 2nd, and Fonseca, he needs this 3rd place finish if he wants to sort some type of charge towards those playoffs, because that 24 has had terrible finishes. He's ran good almost every single track this season, but just has not had the finish to go with it. He is trying to run down the 17 to get on the podium.
Yeah, I mean, it has just felt like a bad wreck at every track we've gone to for Fonseca, and he just continues to try to fight on. The one driver ducks low. That's the 7 of Cody Smith, as Smith and Halsey having their own moments, battling back in 14th place. But seeing Stitz, I mean, these times have fallen off so quickly. You got to think it was just 2 laps of pushing too hard, and it all fell apart so quickly, just showing how if you have 1 mental lapse, it can crumble your whole entire run here late. 7 laps to go for Anderson. The gap still a little bit under 2 seconds. Steele has been the faster driver for about 2 laps, but that last go around, it was Anderson by almost a full 10th faster than Steele.
He is flying out front. I think the only thing that's going to stop this man is if some other flag than a white or checkered flag comes out, because He is so far ahead that it's going to take a major mistake for him. But right now, the battle for third is on. Stitz has the 24 alongside him, and this is going to be quite the battle for the 24 team.
Ollie Fonseca, third place, so critical for himself as goes down into third position side by side with Chris Stitz. That third place battle, important for himself. Like we said, he's so far back in points, recognizing, hey, he needs these positions. Also a driver who needs these points and positions, Jackson Anderson, entering tonight. Even with his win last week, he only has ran 5 races this season. Zach, he's back in 38th in points. This win is going to propel him forward, but it certainly is going to make, I think, the next 2 races feel like there's still a chance to get inside of our top 25 to make that win count him into the playoffs.
I completely agree with you there, Sam. Yeah, this is getting the ball rolling in the right way, but he's going to have to continue this hot start if he wants to have any chance, or these hot 2 weeks, because, man, tonight has been perfect for him. You know, last week kind of played into his hands, but tonight it has just been the 08 fighting with a ton of confidence up front all night long, and it's played out in his hands. As right now, Stitz continuing to draw back as Ethan Smith, he's looking for a 4th place finish, and look at this, Shelley not too far behind. He wants to get in the mix for a top 5.
Ethan Smith, this is a critical finish for himself, as well as he would love to get a top 5 finish for himself. Ollie Fonseca trying to go for his first top 5 finish of the season, and everyone just searching for all that they've got with 4 laps to go. Jackson Anderson trying to rattle off win after win to make a late charge in the regular season. When this season first started, I looked at the career stats on Sim Racer Hub of all the different leagues Anderson has ran in. I think he was one of the newcomers that I hadn't really seen that I thought he could be the threat that could really shake up the playoffs from our regulars that we saw previously that ran in the ISRC Truck Series, some that we've seen on Wednesday nights with the WSSR Cup Series. This is a driver that is finally hitting his potential. It's just unfortunate on the fact that he missed so many races this season, and those races besides last week, he's been wrecked out early. I think this 08, if he somehow sneaks into the chase, is going to be one of the bigger factors to challenge for this championship.
I'd have to agree. I mean, if he can get there, he is going to be a factor with what he's shown here tonight, because he has definitely had the fight, so to say, all the way through the thick and thin. So he has done an excellent job. And right now, I think he's just focused on continuing to put more laps down, because he's 2.5 seconds ahead, and he's fastest car again on the track still.
Trying to get through, almost a caution flag thrown. The last lap, but with 2 laps to go. This is the final go around. Jackson Anderson, just cross your fingers. Hope to see the white flag, because if a caution flag comes out on this lap before he takes the white, we would head into overtime. There's a couple of battles happening where drivers are side by side, but Anderson knows this is the moments that you just are hoping. Please stay green. I don't want to worry about an overtime attempt. And some drivers are doing everything in their power to keep their vehicles pointed straight. And off the exit turn number 4, we look up to the flag stand for the one more lap, presented by Morecast. It is your white flag for Jackson Anderson. No overtime needed. It's just about making it through this final lap to go back-to-back in wins.
He has fought all night, tooth and nail, trying to keep that lead. The battles have come from multiple different drivers, the 67, the 15, the 27 at multiple different points. But it's been the 08, the constant factor that has been up front.
We talked about tonight, it felt like a gladiator battle watching the 15 go after the 08. We saw the 27 attempt a chance to battle. The 67 was there as well. Last week, Anderson had to duel through that gauntlet as well, but now he's on the charge for the chase. Anderson, back-to-back wins last week, and tonight he's on a mission to make the chase. Congratulations to Jackson Anderson on his win here tonight. What a charge it's been for himself, and what a absolute just battle and grueler we got to witness here this evening.
That it was. And I tell you what, also in the last lap of the last corner, Ethan Smith making the move to get into the top 3. And then Ollie Fonseca, he had a big moment there getting into the wall late. That puts him back to 5th.
Just all the drivers, and I don't think this was the top 3 that maybe we had listed in our brain entering tonight. But congratulations to Anderson on the win. The 08, his second victory of the season. As he gets to enjoy Burn It Down, we will step aside. When we come back, we'll talk to our top three, get their thoughts on this incredible race. We'll talk to the 08 of Anderson, the 8 of Noah Steele, and the 00 of Ethan Smith to get their thoughts on the Team Watson Racing Setups 220. Congratulations to Jackson Anderson. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the Trinity Racing League presented by Larry Art Productions on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We head to the post-race show. First off, we'll take a pit stop as we head to victory lane. Sadly, we didn't get to call his race-winning moment last week, but he goes back-to-back, so we get to talk to him here tonight. We've got the 08 of Jackson Anderson. Jackson, what a run for yourself this evening. It looked like you were in the gladiator brawling out there with Vincent, Sora, Talmadge, Yingling. Everyone was attempting to get by you, but at the end of the day, you were the one that survived. How are you feeling after this absolute monster of a run you had here tonight?
Just want to say I had to go out and get another win, so that way it was broadcasted. So that was my goal. It was a fun race with Vincent and Jarrett. It was definitely difficult to race them while trying to maintain my tires because I could tell they weren't. So when I was ready to get in front and pull away, I just couldn't because how aggressive they are. And it took a lot of patience from me, which it was close. But then I decided to stay out at the end of the race and save a set of tires. Hopefully it'd go green like 10 laps and I'd pit and take tires and they stay out and gap it. But they just kept wrecking, and then I got my hand tied where I had to take my last set of tires, and thank the Lord it went green the rest of the way, and I was able just to get out front, play aero games, and pull away and break the draft. So it was a good race.
Definitely was a wild one, Jackson. Congrats on the win, man, and it's 2 in a row now for you. But we got 2 races to finish out this regular season. We know you got a large point sum to overcome. How do you feel going into these next 2?
Honestly, I feel like I just need to not get wrecked and finish in the top 10, and I should be fine.
I mean, We're hoping that that is the case for you, Jackson. I think it'd be a fun drive to watch, making it into the chase. With watching the battling from last week to this week, I know we didn't get to talk to you last week, but give us a little picture. What was it like getting your win last week at Nashville Super Speedway and trying to carry that momentum over to tonight?
Last week was kind of crazy because the tire race till the last 30 laps, I was sub 20, like in 20th. I couldn't pass anybody because of dirty air, and the track was just a single line groove track. And came to the end where we pit. I took 2 tires, got track position. Some guys stayed out, which caused a stack up going to turn 1, and I was able to cross over and get the lead and went off of cautions and timing restarts. So definitely wasn't like a win like tonight, but it was still a win.
It certainly was still a win. Jackson, congratulations on your win here tonight for the Team Watson Racing Setup 220. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
I'd just like to thank Austin Holsley for getting me into this league and paying for my race entry for this, and my sponsors, Team Associated Concepts and Reedy Power, for my RC car racing.
Well, that'll be the 08 of Jackson Anderson. Again, his second win, going back-to-back, winning last week at Nashville Super Speedway, now winning here at Michigan. Congratulations on this victory, Jackson. Enjoy it, and good luck next week at Dover.
Thank you.
As we move from victory lane, we go down to second place to talk to the driver. With 30 laps to go, I said, we haven't really talked about him, but he's here. He's slowly creeping into the top 10, and he ultimately comes away with a second place finish here tonight. It's the 8 machine of Noah Steele. Noah, second place. Where did that come from, and how are you feeling coming away with a top 3 finish here tonight?
I'm feeling great. I didn't know how to drive the track the first 60 so odd laps. I was horrible. But luckily, just pit strategy helped, and then I just said, "Screw it! I'm just gonna wear these tires out and pass everybody." And it just worked out in my favor.
That really did, Noah. You did a great job there to climb up late in the going there to get yourself into second. I mean, take us through the strategy tonight. It seemed like it was all over the place for some, and it definitely you made the right call in there at the end, taking those tires that run to the end.
In the middle of the race, it was just like it was surviving. I can't tell you how many wrecks I missed, but coming down towards the end, with 25 to go, I think it was. Me and Nolan were talking, and I was like, I got to pit. I was like, I want to put this into my own hands if we get, if it turns, which it was a tire lottery. But if it goes in my favors, hippie, and if it doesn't, well, darn,
I absolutely understand that. It felt like a lot of drivers were feeling that tonight with the way the tires and cautions, the way they were lining up. We're moving to another track, and I feel like for most of the season with this car, it's been about talking about tires, but we're heading to Dover, as that will take over the Martinsville track that was originally scheduled. What's your thoughts at Dover? And then we have Chicagoland to finish out the regular season.
I think it's gonna go well. They fit in my wheelhouse. Hopefully, we can keep it clean and make the cut line.
Well, we're rooting for you, Noah. Congratulations on second here tonight. And before we let you go, the floor's now yours for any other shout outs.
Just family. My grandfather watches this along with my grandmother. They root for me. They're probably yelling at the TV there towards the end. My girlfriend, and then just y'all for putting on the show.
Well, thank you for giving us such a great show to call. That'll be your second place finisher here tonight in the number 8 Wranglers machine of Noah Steele. Noah, enjoy this one, and good luck in these upcoming races trying to make the chase.
Thank you.
As that will finish up our talking with second place runner of Noah Steele, we'll head down to third place. The fresh tires, they were the things that ran King late, allowing the 00 to move into third place. We've got Ethan Smith with us. Ethan, entering tonight, you qualified all the way back in 23rd place. You finished third here tonight. What was your thought process starting so far back and trying to emerge into being up front?
Well, I have good history with this track. I usually do pretty good. So I wasn't too worried about getting out of that 23rd spot. I just knew that I needed to keep the car safe and clean. I avoided a bunch of accidents pretty close. I'm surprised I actually made it through this race, if I'm being honest. But it was just keeping the tires clean. The first half of the race, I was getting into the throttle too soon and burning that right rear. So I would have speed for about 5 laps, but then I'd lose it. The last the last green flag run that we just had, I kind of figured out that I need to go into the corner deeper and wait a little bit before getting on the throttle. And that ultimately allowed me to go all the way to third.
It was definitely a great battle coming all the way down to the end there for you, Ethan, man. Congrats on third here tonight. I mean, that's your second top 5 in the last 3 races you've been out here. That's some great momentum you're building. How do you feel about that?
I feel pretty good. I've had some unfortunate luck this season. I've been taken out a handful of times. So I have a lot more to offer. I know that. It's good to finally be able to show it.
Well, you certainly are showing that you still have got it for sure. We're heading to Dover, Chicagoland to finish out the regular season. Ethan, how do you want to finish out these last 2 races before the chase?
I'd love to see another Dover win. Back in the trucks, probably the highlight of all of racing for me was coming back from 3 laps down, and on a 40-something lap green flag run, I ended up coming back and winning, and that was probably my ultimate favorite race that I've ever done. So I really liked Dover. It's a concrete track, and I tend to do all right with those, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we cannot wait to see how you perform in these upcoming courses, Ethan. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
I'd like to thank Hot Lab Designs and Danny for the scheme, any friends, family that are watching, and you guys for putting on the broadcast.
Well, thank you for giving us such a great show to call. That's going to be the 00 of Ethan Smith coming away third here tonight. Ethan, congratulations. Enjoy that finish, and good luck next week at Dover.
Thank you.
As we move away from our interviews, just going to be our top 3 here tonight. We're going to take a closer look at our unofficial results here this evening. Crazy to say, I know we weren't able to give the call last week at Nashville with all the drama they had last week, but it feels like they carried over from that drama and brought it here to Michigan. And it was Jackson Anderson going back-to-back, winner of last week at Nashville Super Speedway, and now here tonight at Michigan. Second goes to Noah Steele with Ethan Smith in third. Chris Ditz taking fourth. Ali Fonseca, top 5 finish. That's exactly what the 24 needs. He needs to continue that for these next 2 races, though, if he wants to make the chase. Then you also got Jarrett Talmadge coming away 6th. 7th was Isaac Shelley. Gary Wells, the 87, surviving all the chaos, seeing everyone else fall away, getting his best career finish of the season, coming away 8th. Congratulations to Wells. Justin Smith rebounding after an L2 penalty, a drive-through penalty to start the race off. He comes away 9th and finishing out our top 10. It's the 67 of Larry Yingling, taking the gamble 2 tires, and the gamble just did not work out.
No, that gamble didn't pay out, but look at Stephen Clapp coming back all the way up to 11th there after that contact on lap 4 to bring out the caution early between him and Mark Laberton. So that was a great rebound from him. He had the 15th place finish there from Gavin Rogers. Not the night he probably wanted, same for Thomas Green there in 17th, who really need to get their season rolling the right way if they want to have an opportunity. But as you look farther down through this list, it's going to be a lot of drivers who were involved in incidents late in this race there that really took them out of contention, which was, you know, Ryan Kelly there. That was a huge hit for him. Vincent Sora in 27th. They really took out, same for Cody Reed in that same incident, and that was just a huge wreck that really caused a lot of issues.
A lot of wrecks all around, but man, was it a fun brawl to watch. Drivers up front, in the middle, and further on back, they had a show everywhere you could look, and that's what Michigan is known for. It always is throwing out some great runs. I want to say thank you to everyone that's joined with us here tonight, but we've got more great racing action for the rest of this week. Crazy to say, we got ourselves just one more race left for the season 11 of the WSSR VRS Cup Series. It's the finale of the season. Who will be hoisting the championship trophy? Top 3 in points are within 3 points of one another. And then that last driver, Vincent Sora, caught up in a wreck that really has taken his hand out of a championship hope. But what drama could he possibly sprinkle in on Wednesday night? We'll have to find out and see. But Zach, how are you feeling and about Wednesday, and what are you excited about with WSSR coming to the end of season 11?
Well, definitely a close battle still to go for those top 3. I know Vince Sora didn't have the week he wanted last Wednesday night, but it's going to be a titanic battle. I mean, you got a possibility of a new champion, a repeat champion, and then possibly a 4-time champion almost. So, and if something crazy happens, maybe Vince Sora gets in there. You never know. We've seen a 12-point gap be made up. I think his is about 21, so it's quite a feat for him to do. But yeah, you never know what possibilities. But it's been a great season, and we can't wait to close it out and head into the Gen 4 car, as we've announced now that we're heading into the old school 2003 car. That'll definitely change some things up for next season. So if anybody's out there looking for something like that, definitely check out World Series of Sim Race.
WSSR Wednesday night, season 11 is coming to conclusion. Season 12 right around the corner. Don't want to miss out, as that will be this upcoming Wednesday. But for us here on Monday night, so next week, gonna be heading to Dover. Excited for that racing action. Dover, notoriously known for tearing up tires, and with the way we've seen these Xfinity cars be, tire wear is going to be the factor. Who can stay with the tires underneath them, or will we be seeing a lot of tires exploding? We'll have to wait and see next week. Excited for it. But for tonight, thank you so much for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, for Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else that helps out on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you so much for spending your Monday night with us. It's been a pleasure to give you the call. We've got one more race left on Wednesday nights. We're excited for it. It's going to be a fun one. Seeing the drivers going back and forth for the championship. Next week, Dover, what does Miles the Monster have? You don't want to miss that at all. Because with all the drama that's been ramping up from last week to this week, I think we got some rivalries that are starting to emerge. And maybe Miles might stir up that pot a little bit more. You don't want to miss it. That will be next Monday for us. But if you are excited for a championship, like Zach said, 3 storylines, 3 drivers hunting for a chance, 1 for their first championship, 1 looking for his second, and the 3rd looking to be solidified as the all-time greatest WSSR champion of all time. You don't want to miss it Wednesday night. Homestead, who's going to take the championship? We'll find out Wednesday night here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. And we will see you then on our next broadcast on Wednesday.